All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and now we're live again because I messed up the first time and we have to do a retake. How you been?
Good. How about you?
Good. So I'll ask again for the people watching. It'll be the first time they've heard this. How was it the first time? Well, we did the podcast a few weeks ago. How did you like the feedback you're getting from people, and what did you think rewatching yourself?
It's definitely something different because I haven't been on video in a really long time. So it was different to watch myself. It was really cool to see our interaction because I feel like when you're in the moment, you don't really notice. And then when you're watching it like as a third person, you pick up on things that you didn't pick up on when you were like having the conversation.
You said that a few times. You're like, you said there's parts where you were thinking about something and then you weren't really like, maybe you're probably listening to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Does it make you kind of conscious of like how much listening we actually do as human beings?
Yeah. Because I feel like I am a pretty good listener. Or I would rate myself as a good listener.
Yeah.
But then when I watched it back, I was like, oh, that's what he said. Or like,
that makes way more sense.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the beauty of having it. It reminds me of that Black Mirror where he gets to rewatch his life on remember through his eye, and he can like put it on TV. Do you remember that episode?
I don't think I watched that one.
Where he goes home to his girlfriend and she's like, how did your interview go? And he's like, oh, it went terrible. Watch. And he plays it on his TV. Like he gets to rewind his own memories. And she saw him walk into the room, like, how's it going? And they're like, they're rewatching the interview to see how he did.
Yeah.
And then he's like, look, see right there? Like he's scratching his wrist. It's because he doesn't like me. Like that's a sign that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was able to analyze it. And the show goes, like a typical Black Mirror episode, it goes way off and it's not even about that. But it's about like infidelity. It gets crazy.
That is crazy.
He thinks his wife is like cheating on him. So he's like, fucking show me. Like, and she has to like rewind her memory on the TV to show him.
That she didn't cheat?
But it turned, like, I don't want to fuck it, I'll ruin it for people that haven't seen it. She does. Like, but you wouldn't think she would. She does. And then he makes her go all the way back like 8 years. And it turns out his kid isn't even his kid. Like, it gets crazy.
Oh, wow.
And then he tries to go kill the boy or the guy whose his kid it is. And like, he makes that guy play on his TV screen the video of him banging his wife.
Oh,
like
gosh.
when it was like, by the end of it, you're like, fuck that. Like, I don't want to live in a world where like, it seems cool. And it is cool in instances like this. But if that was the real world, could you imagine just like having to show your memories? Like if you went to a job interview and they're like, instead of like asking you questions, like they'll just pick a date. April 3rd. Show me April 3rd. And you just got to go and like show them like that date.
That'd
and it's
be
like
crazy.
you scratching your butt, like, and like smelling it or whatever weird stuff you people do out there.
I don't think I want anybody seeing my memories.
Do you think, I don't think I would either, but do you think if that was a real thing that we would be more like careful with like what we do? Like, will we do less weird stuff because of the chance that someone could see it?
Probably.
Yeah.
I would like to say I wouldn't, just because I try to embrace being a little weird. But
what do you think is the weirdest thing that you do? Don't give me the weirdest, because I don't want you to like embarrass yourself. What's a weird thing that you do when no one's around? Like if I wasn't home at all, like and you were just hanging out or something. Could be something small
that I'd be embarrassed about somebody knowing.
Maybe not embarrassing, but give me anything. I guess if it could be funny or like serious. I hope it's not like a drug or something.
It's not a drug.
Like I do Oxycontin like every time you take off.
I dance a lot around the house.
Like when I'm not here?
Yeah.
What?
Or when you're here.
Yes?
Yeah.
That's weird. Nah, that's not that weird. Is it like a happy dance or is it just like a ADHD kind of dance?
It's like a...
Like, are you actually trying to get a move in or are you just having fun?
I'm just like kind of listening to music and just like pretending like I'm at the club or something or like...
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You're like, that is weird.
It's not that weird.
Especially these days because I can't dance anywhere.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay now. I'm trying to think of like weird things that I do when I'm alone. I definitely laugh. Like, you know, sometimes you ever watch a show or a movie and it's kind of funny, but it's funnier when you watch it with other people.
Yeah.
Or stand-up comedy is always funnier with there's other people around. So most people, I think that's like a norm. Mm-hmm. But I don't give a fuck. Like if it's a funny movie or if it's a funny thing and nobody's here, I will laugh my ass off. And I don't even feel weird about it. Like I'll even text someone like just to be part of it.
Yeah, like this is hilarious.
Yeah, like I'll watch an entire movie without you here, which has been forever since this happened.
Yeah.
But I could watch an entire movie and laugh as if it's the funniest movie ever, like with no one to share it with. And it would be just as funny as if you were here.
Do you ever feel weird laughing loud? Like, do you ever like notice like you're laughing like really loud and nobody else is here?
No, but I do think like if maybe the neighbors might think I'm crazy or something.
Yeah.
Like, why is he laughing like that? I can see how it's weird maybe from the other, or maybe the animals are probably like, what the heck?
Do the dogs ever look at you weird?
I don't think so.
No?
I think I laugh like with you here too though, like a lot.
Yeah, so they're used to it.
Yeah, I think they're just like, oh.
They're like, oh, he's being loud again.
He's acting crazy. Better walk me later, that son of a...
He better use some of this energy for good things like walking me and running.
Probably. I'm trying to think of a weird thing that I do when no one's around. I do know that I have a weird one. It's not that weird, but it's something that people don't talk about, and I feel like if they did, I don't know.
Is it new to me?
Yeah, maybe. It was just a question. It's not weird.
Is it trying on my clothes?
Yeah, when you're gone, try on your clothes. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
But I only try on the ones that I think would make me look cute.
Okay.
Like, it's a cute top, so I'm going to put it on. Do you ever hear music and picture you performing the song?
I think I have as a child.
What are you trying to say? You never do that? Like if you're in the radio or on a run, like or a gym or something, like if you hear a song, like do you ever picture yourself performing it? Like if it was you? Like, or do you always picture the artist, or is it just music to you?
It's usually like a feeling for me. So like I just like listen to music and then it makes me feel a certain way.
That's it?
Yeah, like it's just like...
I mean, it does that for me too, but I always picture it's me.
Really?
I mean, unless it's like a female, I definitely don't picture that. But like if it's like, it could be like a Lil Wayne song. It could be a black rapper, and I still picture it's me instead of them like just killing that verse.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It could be like anyone. It could be a white dude. It could, because when I say that, I bet people are like, "Duh, it's probably like mostly Eminem songs." No, it's everyone. The majority of my favorite artists are not white. But like I just always picture, if it's a singer, I picture me singing the song, like performing it.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because you rap though.
Maybe, but I think I've always been like that, even when I was younger. Like I always imagined me like performing it. But I feel like I hope other people do that too, because it's like it's just weird. But I don't know why. That's just the way I listen to it. Yeah. Not always. Like sometimes I just want to play like, maybe if it's like a techno song or something, like it's just like I'm in the moment and like I'm just there.
Because there's hardly any words.
Yeah. What if it's that one, I am not a whore, and it's just me getting it in my head? I'm not a whore, I swear. No, yeah, well, even the ones that do have like words sometimes.
Yeah.
I think I always just like, but if it's, I think I care about lyrics a lot, and I care about delivery, and I care about like, I don't know. Plus, I'm also kind of like a performing kind of person in general, like, you know what I mean? So I always picture myself like that. So I don't know.
I could see that. What about when we were seeing Tiger King? Were you picturing yourself singing those songs too?
No, I'm so glad you brought that up though, because everyone's talking about Tiger King. I love Tiger King.
Yeah, you do. I had to have an intervention with you, remember?
Did you?
I was like, how many memes have you posted today about Tiger King?
Yeah, I did post a lot of memes.
And we went through it.
You didn't even want to watch the show, which is not weird, because almost every show or movie, if you don't know what it is, you're not that into it. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to watch it anyways. And you're kind of just hanging out. And then always you get into the show.
Yeah.
Always. Even like Stranger Things, you were like, oh, this is, at one point you were like, this is scary. Can you turn it off? Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I don't, just
like
not right now. Like,
stuff.
just, this isn't the moment for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, what? Like, so later will be? And you're like, just, can you turn it off? And I did. And then I never thought you would get into that show. And then like by episode 3, you were like, oh my God, can we watch Stranger Things? And so you're like that with every show. So that's how, Shameless. Remember when we watched Shameless? You were like,
it took me like 3 years.
You're all, this show gives me anxiety. We can't watch it. And I'm like, we'll just like push through. Like we all have weird feelings. Can we just like work through them?
I don't know why. There's just certain movies or things that like make me feel good, and things that don't make me feel good. So like when I was watching Tiger King, the whole time like my stomach was hurting.
But what in life, when you have that feeling, and we're totally going to dive really deep into Tiger King, by the way, but when you get that feeling, do you always have to honor it?
Yeah.
But don't you think that struggle makes you feel weird? And if you just back out every time or don't do something that feels weird because struggle feels weird, don't you think you might miss out on an opportunity for something?
Yeah, I definitely think that you have to like push yourself. But I think because I'm so sensitive about things, and it's hard for me to let go of that feeling, I guess. Like when I'm watching something and I know that it's like maybe people are getting mistreated or animals are getting mistreated or things like that, then the overall feeling is still there with me. Like I can feel that it's like, okay, this is not a good thing. This doesn't feel right.
So it's probably a good thing that you're with me then, or else you wouldn't have any of these experiences.
Yeah.
Like the Tiger King, because you ended up watching it and you thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you're welcome.
I thought it was really cool.
I don't know how else to tell you this. You kind of
Thank
owe me
you.
one.
Yeah, I owe you.
Just kidding. The Tiger King was cool to me because I think that when I started watching it, it was, I've been reflecting on Tiger King. I've been self-reflecting because I was trying to figure out why is it so popular, right?
Yeah.
Super popular. And why did I like it so much, right? And so I started thinking like what it meant to me. And it sounds like I'm on this deep level, but I'm not. I really just was thinking like, well, why is it so intriguing? Why does everyone like it?
Yeah.
And I think reality TV is kind of diluted, right? We have all these shows, and not to pick on the Kardashians, but they're probably the most famous ones, right? So like a show like the Kardashians or a show like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, or any of these reality shows, right? The one with the hills. The hills have eyes.
The hills. Oh.
The regular hills.
Yeah.
The hills. The show The Hills.
Yeah.
Or any reality show. We all know what reality shows is. You watch them because you can relate to them, right? But there's times where like you're like, this is overly, I don't want to say staged because it's not, right? If you watch The Bachelor, they're not reading from a script. It isn't a movie scene.
Right.
But you do feel like there's a narrative, and you do feel like there's kind of like they put together these things on purpose kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it feels like you want more, but we still love it because it's reality, right? And so we're like, we keep watching it. And the Tiger King was like about as authentic as you can get, right? All those characters there was no benefit for them to act that crazy, but they did. And they were like, that was them. Like, that was like, one was this flamboyant, crazy, wild person that wants all these people hanging out with them. You know what I mean? There's another person that's a little bit quieter. There's a person that's money hungry. You know what I mean? There's all these authentic people, right? Some of them are weird. One of them might have killed her fucking husband. We don't even know. But I think that's why I think everyone else liked it so much, is it's fun to watch this show where people are being so authentic and real, and there's no benefit to it. They're not trying to be famous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just like think that they're gonna like maybe like be in this documentary probably. And so they just were all themselves. And it was fun watching all the interviews afterwards because it's like they're the same people. You ever see a show, like a reality show, and then you follow them on Instagram, and then you follow a few of the Bachelor people or Bachelorettes, and they're a little different. Or you see them, we talked about this, you see like on The Bachelor is a perfect example. You see them on that show, and then you see them on The Bachelor in Paradise, and then it's like they're kind of different. And you're like, oh, I like them better.
Yeah, or I didn't know that side of them. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's like we've seen it a million times on different shows, different things, different people, movie stars. You see them in the movie, and then you see them in an interview on Conan O'Brien, and they're way different. You're like, what?
Yeah.
And so, but with those people from the Tiger King, I would see their interviews, and it's the same person. It's like a continuation of that show. Yeah. And so it's like, that's what I thought. That's the reason why I like the show. And I thought like it was just wild, and I got sucked in. Every episode, I'm like, there's no way. I remember at one point, but like episode 4, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, how much more crazy stuff could happen? Yeah. And more crazy stuff happened. Yeah. What's your feeling on it?
I agree with that. I feel like it was pretty refreshing just to have people be themselves and authentic. I think that's always cool. I wonder if us having so much downtime right now, or a lot of people having more downtime, kind of was one of the reasons why so many people watched it, or I think that contributed to it. But I think the show itself is really, I don't know. I think that it just kind of like you keep wanting to know what's going to happen. Like, what else can happen, you know?
Yeah. It was just different. Yeah. I think you're right. I think the fact that everyone's quarantining at home made it bigger. Mm-hmm. I feel like it would have been a hit either way. Yeah. 'Cause we've had Netflix hits over the last few years when this COVID thing wasn't a deal. Yeah. And so I think people would have been sucked into it the way they were sucked into Bird Box. Remember when everyone was watching that? Yeah. But I agree. It was super duper amplified just because everyone was just home. And then when it's on Facebook, it's so powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
Who do you think was your favorite character in the show?
It's hard to say. The animals? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
You would say that. You're all the tiger number 13? He's my favorite tiger.
I like
They never pet him. The whole time. No one pet him.
I don't know. That's a good question. I thought all of them were good in some way, and all of them had something that maybe I didn't really connect
So here's a good way to figure out who your favorite character in that show is.
Okay.
Take him out. Whoever it is, and what would the show be like? Like Doc Antle. Take him out. Pretty good show still, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the Carole Baskins? God damn it. Carole fucking Baskins. That bitch, Carole Baskins. Take her out. She's a pretty important part of the show. She would be second for me. But it's for sure Joe Exotic. Like in my head, he did the dumbest stuff.
Yeah.
He was which when I say authentic, this is the pure. A lot of people are authentic. He's so authentic. He committed crimes. Like he's just like I think I'm gonna get away. Like he just like did his own thing and he didn't care. He had no like to me he was my favorite character because he made it go. If he ever does get out of jail, which he probably won't, he's sentenced for a long time. And he had a show. Tell me you wouldn't watch that.
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
But maybe if it like wasn't tigers.
Yeah, maybe if it wasn't anything to do with like him not taking care of animals.
Yeah, what if I seriously doubt he would not do that again. Yeah. I agree, but here's the thing: is they all did some terrible stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes the show so cool too. Is there's this wild side of it where everyone's just acting crazy and wild and blowing stuff up, and there's all this drama, and someone might have murdered their husband, and other people hate her, and there's the online TV show, kind of like what we're doing now,
yeah,
like where they're just like hating on Carole Baskin the whole time, and it's so entertaining. And then there's this other side of it where like you really do feel bad for the animals, like at a lot of points. And then there's other times where like the animals are ripping people's arms off and stuff. And then you feel bad for the people. And then you realize that girl, like she did care, but she was about as good as you can be for someone who got their arm ripped off.
Yeah.
She was back at work in like a couple days, right?
She was super loyal, I felt. I felt like she was loyal to Joe. Mm-hmm. So she didn't want to make a big deal out of it. And so she went back to work just so that it kind of
think about if she had that documentary would have been over. That would have been it. They would have closed that place down and he would have gone to jail or at least financially been drained. He ends up being financially drained because of his other beefs. But think about that. Think of that one part of the show. That was episode 2, I think. The beginning of episode 2, I think they're like, this girl gets her arm ripped off. And that's why you're like, what? Like, what's going on right now? If she just like, she doesn't come back in a week and she presses charges and makes a big publicity thing out of it, which she could have done.
Yeah.
There's no more show. That would have just been a 2-episode documentary about Tiger and then someone got their arm ripped off and then the documentary's over. But because she didn't say anything and was loyal, like you said, the show continued and they did all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy that she like went to work like 5 days after her amputation.
Yeah. Well, I think it was 5 days. Yes, you're right. Because it was 7 days total. Because I watched an interview today.
Oh, okay.
But she didn't get it amputated till day 3. So you're right. So day 1 and 2, they were telling like she was in the ICU kind of thing. Yeah. And then they amputated it at the beginning of day 3 and then 5-day recovery. And then she was back at work within 7 days.
Yeah.
Of the whole thing happening. But 5 days from the amputation. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That is really crazy.
She was back at work smiling. Just getting it. Taking care of tigers. If I was to any animal, sharks, doesn't matter. If I'm surfing and a shark eats my arm, I'm not surfing anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not. Or if I work in a tiger place and the tiger bites my arm up, I'm not going around tigers anymore.
Yeah.
Just not.
Yeah, I think it's because of maybe the setting of how everybody that was working for Joe kind of was lost in some way and they found some type of purpose there.
Everyone kind of was, huh?
Yeah, and so I think that really was probably the reason why a lot of people stayed around and like were so loyal because like they felt connected into what that feeling of, like being a part of something. I think that's really, it's a special feeling. And when you don't have that, you feel like you're missing something.
They did say that a lot of the people that worked there lived there. Like they lived in like, you know what I mean? Like I think like 90% of the staff like lived like on there.
Yeah.
And then the camera crews, because they were filming a reality show, which remember ends up burning down all the footage in the alligator pen. So and I didn't understand that till I saw some of the interviews afterwards. He was filming a show. That main guy that you see in Australia or whatever, he's just smoking cigarettes in that restaurant. Yes. Yeah. They hired him to film a reality show, which was supposed to replace that kind of internet show he did. And he said, I'll film your reality show if you also allow a second crew to film me filming a reality show because I want a documentary. And I don't think people understood that because I watched an interview with him with David Spade. And he was saying that's what burnt down. So, you know, when that thing burnt down and you're like, well, what are we watching? We're watching footage. That was the footage for his reality show. But the footage that the other guy was recording was to make a documentary about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what burnt up. So there's tons of stuff that never even came out that burnt up in that fire. And they say that they think that Joe Exotic burned it down himself because of the incriminating stuff, but also because that guy with the hat they got into an argument like days before, and he was pretty much saying like, you own the rights to your show, but I own the rights to the show, filming the show. And so it got weird, and that's why he burned it down. And I didn't really understand that in the show, but I understand it in the interview a little bit better.
Yeah, I think he burned it down for sure.
Yeah, I think he did too.
Yeah.
He's wild. That guy's wild.
He is really wild.
I love when the girl got her arm bit off and he walks into the like where they all buy like souvenirs.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not gonna lie, tiger just bit a girl's arm off. If you guys want a refund, I'll get it to you. And like walks out with his paramedic shirt on. And that's when the famous scene was like, I'm never gonna financially recover from this.
Yeah. That was a crazy scene.
Could you imagine being in a souvenir shop and like the owner just comes in like, hey guys, listen up. Tiger just bit some guy's arm off. I'm gonna give you all refunds if that's cool. Let me know. And then he leaves. Like, what? What happened? Like back there?
I don't think I'd even want to leave the shop. I'd be like,
I would like if they got loose or something. Like I need more info. Like, is there like a mass? Are they running away? What's happening?
Yeah, it's crazy to think that if you live in an area, like kind of like country area, that your neighbor could have a tiger or like an exotic animal. I didn't realize that was legal. I
feel like they kept trying to debunk that. Like a lot of people were saying, the people on the show afterwards were saying like, it's not that way, but it really kind of is. Like if you really think about it, there's more tigers in captivity than there are in the wild. And I don't know if that's worldwide or just like, obviously there's not wild tigers here, but I don't know if it's like worldwide there's more in captivity than there is wild, or like there's more in captivity in America than there is in the wild. Either way, it's a lot of tigers that could, like, it's just like in like someone has. Yeah. Probably in Oklahoma, for being honest.
Yeah.
But it is kind of weird. The whole show, I'm just like, this is a thing. And I didn't understand the cub thing until towards the end. And I was like, what? Like, why would this be an issue? Like, I don't get the cub thing. And I started realizing like people like the cubs and cubs grow up. Because in my head, because I don't think I've ever seen a tiger in person. Have you?
Just at the zoo.
I don't think I've ever seen one at the zoo either. How was it when you saw the one at the zoo? Did it feel like the way they're describing, like there's something like, it's an amazing creature that makes you feel powerful? And
no, but I think it's because I like all animals. So like there's not anything.
Where did you see a tiger? Like what zoo was it?
San Diego Zoo.
Was this like with some dude or?
My parents.
Oh, that's what I meant.
My brother.
I was like, I never went to a zoo. We've been together for a long ass time.
I don't know if they have some at Albuquerque too. I've gone to that zoo also.
I want to see a tiger now. But so as someone who's never seen one, when they were saying in the show, like, because I've never seen one, I was amazed in general. So I didn't understand that. I'm like, why would they not want big tigers? Like, because when I was thinking seeing a tiger, I want to see the biggest, baddest one. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I thought. And then I didn't realize like a cub you could take a picture with and you could touch, and cubs are cute. And thinking about the masses, I could see how the mass amount of people would want to see a cub, and they would pay extra money to come up and touch a cub. Yeah. And it's a liability to have you come up and touch a full grown tiger. And so it started making sense to me towards the end. And that's when I was like, I wonder what they do with the cubs. And I'm like, oh, like I see where this is going. And so I kind of knew they were going to get into like euthanizing at the end, or like touching on that a little bit.
Yeah, because I definitely think as they grow older, then it's harder to, I mean, I think once they take the babies, which I think that's sad, they take the babies away from the tiger. That way they can kind of like get them used to humans. I think that's what kind of domesticates them a little bit. But then I think it's still, you know, the liability because they're wild animals. Like they can do anything, you know? So I just feel like that part of it is what is kind of scary.
I didn't understand. Is that what they did? I wasn't understanding. So they took the cubs away. That makes total sense because they couldn't have a bunch of tiger cubs in like with multiple full grown tigers, right?
Well, and I don't know for sure. They didn't say, but I just know usually like with dogs or anything, usually like the moms get really territorial of the babies.
Mhm.
So I'm sure with tigers, I don't know a lot about tigers themselves, but I would assume that if they're around the baby, they're going to be territorial. So they become probably more aggressive.
But wouldn't they be more aggressive if you took all their babies away?
Yeah, but they might not understand it. Like, remember the part wherever like the tiger literally just had the baby and then like he's like pulling
He pulls it with the
Yeah.
thing and then pulls it out from under the cage.
Yeah, so I don't think it gives like the tiger enough time to really like bond and realize like, oh, okay, this is like,
That's just a crazy thought.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
horrible. I don't know. That part was really hard for me. You're like, you're like, I didn't.
This is a bad time for a joke. I think when you really, really get into like the roots of it all, it is pretty bad. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then every time you want to like the guy, you remember all the bad stuff he did, and you're like, oh, I can't like that guy.
Yeah.
But he was entertaining. It's
He was.
okay like to say that, right? Because he was for sure entertaining, I think. But it doesn't make him a good person.
Yeah.
But everyone was entertaining. Like the husbands, he had 2 husbands. It turns out he had like 5. Like when I saw interviews afterwards.
Really?
Yes, like his whole life, like he had multiple like husbands. But that was the only time where I think he literally had multiple, like meaning more than one at the same time. But it was weird to see the wedding in the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like I wish I remembered their names, right? Because the one kid, the taller kid that everyone liked, that was like everyone said that he was attractive. He's a big old strong guy. The one that
Is
ends
his
up
name Tyler or no?
I don't remember. The one that ends up committing suicide,
Mm-hmm.
or we both talked about if that was on accident or not.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was on purpose, but watching the interviews afterwards, they think that maybe it was an accident
Oh, really?
because they labeled it as like they caught on film him accidentally shooting himself. But I guess he did play around like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Either way, there's that kid, and then I kind of noticed in the scene where they're filming their wedding,
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that he wasn't in like that involved in it, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of off the bat, I was like, I don't know if he's really into men. But the other guy I thought was for sure because he
Yeah.
was like having a blast. And there's a scene where he's like, I like the pink camo, and he was embracing the whole thing. And it felt they were together for like 9 years. They're singing it.
Yeah.
So after the documentary, when he impregnates that girl,
Yeah.
spoiler alert. I hope no one listening to this like
Right.
if you've already heard too much because we're gonna talk about it. So if you want to watch the show, come back to this because you should watch it all. But go watch the show real quick. But the other guy afterwards when he went off and like he had a baby and was with that girl, and in the interviews afterwards and on David Spade, he was pretty adamant about saying he was never really married to him. He was never really into men. He was always in the way, and that threw me off because I felt like he was.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. So that's again another like moment in the show where you're like, wow, like
Confused. With
yeah,
it,
it's like a weird scenario for there to be. Is that considered polygamy?
I think so. Yeah.
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 A polygamous relationship in Oklahoma City, and I think it's actually legal in some states, right? I don't know if Oklahoma City is one of them. So I don't even know if they legally were even married, which he says he wasn't. The one
Yeah.
guy does.
I don't think they were legally married.
Yeah, but it's a weird situation, and so that's just like another part of it that I was like, what the heck?
I know that part was really interesting. I felt like whenever he talked about it,
Mhm.
I feel like there was some type of like bond that he had with Joe, but I don't know if it was. I don't know. I think he has like some type of like bad feelings towards him. That's
Well,
kind of what I got from it.
you can be in any sort of relationship, gay or straight, and have bad feelings for your ex.
Yeah.
And so I think like that part of it was kind of normal.
Yeah.
And so it was confusing for me to watch because I didn't understand it. And then afterwards, just to see all the stuff that the other people were saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was just like, whoa, like I don't even know. Like it's just a weird, misunderstood situation. You know what I mean? It's and then the fact that that was, to me, that was the part in the show that I started taking the show like extra serious, is the scene where they show him. They don't show him,
Mm-hmm.
but they show the other guy shooting himself, whether it was an accident or not. And they show the reaction of the what was it? He's like
He was like the campaign
the
manager.
campaign manager
Yeah.
for him running for president.
Yeah.
And governor, whatever the hell he did. Both, I think. But that scene to me was like, what? Like you weren't, that was part, I remember you were on the couch with me and I was like, babe, what? Like, you were like, what? Like, it was just, that was a part for me that I thought I thought it was way more intense than what it got. I feel like there was like a moment and then it kind of went off.
Yeah. And I think it's probably because of the funeral. I feel like the funeral isn't very like.
Well, his speech was pretty cool. My favorite part is when he used to drag my balls on his face.
Didn't he call them like golden nuggets or
I
something?
don't remember. I totally want to rewatch it. He was like, I'll miss him the way when he used to put my ball sack on his face. And the mom is like crying. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
and then he starts singing one of his songs.
And then they say that he's not even really singing. So I wonder if he was like lip singing.
Not at that part, like, but I have to rewatch it because there has been reports that come out that say that it for sure was not him singing. And so it like, which makes sense because I think everyone that heard those videos was like, oh, that guy's killing it. That's kind of good.
Yeah.
But he did sing at the funeral and I remember that being good too. But maybe that was just my brain because we had seen all those videos of him killing it.
Yeah.
So I want to rewatch it because maybe he wasn't that good.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was just lip singing too. That would be horrible if he was.
Yeah. Well, I think
at
lip
a funeral?
singing is fun.
But at a funeral?
Yeah. I feel like I'm on the show now. Like, Will, do you even realize what you're saying? Lip singing at a funeral?
It's not karaoke, you know?
Yeah, well, obviously not at a funeral. So I don't care much about the lip singing part. I think it's telling people or pretending you're putting on the image that you're the author behind it. I think was the bad part. But he had some bangers that Joe Exotic did. Some of the best diss songs in the world.
Yeah, he did.
So let's talk about Carole Baskin for a little bit. Because that was like episode 3 or 4. They don't introduce her, but they dive into her story about her husband, which was kind of like random again. That was another point of the show where I was like, what is going on right now? Did this like lady like kill her husband? And like, I think it's pretty obvious that she killed her husband. That's just how I feel. What do you feel?
Yeah, I think she might have. It's hard to say because I kind of feel like she didn't, but then I feel like she did. I don't know. It's hard to say because I feel like she like is sad about it.
Every time I find myself thinking she didn't, I think about all, like I remember and I go, oh, she had to have.
Yeah.
Because there's times I'm like, what if she didn't? You know what I mean? But then I remember like her reactions to stuff. The weird will that says if he disappears as opposed to if he's dead.
Yeah.
And then the parts, what was the other one?
The sardine oil.
And then she had stole some guns from him like 2 days before he disappeared. Like she filed a report. There was domestic violence going on. They had a history of like these things going on. And then all of a sudden he disappears. And then when they throw out ideas and like, well, maybe like she like threw him in the meat grinder and fed him to the tigers. I'm like, that's genius. You know what I mean? Like that's like the perfect way to hide something up. And then she just told the cops like that he flew off to some country. Yeah. Which would make sense if you have the money to do that kind of stuff. They'd be like, oh, that's where he's at. By the time they figure out that he's actually missing, that tiger's already eaten him. He's already pooped him out. And that's already moved on. So even if they came and like tried to like figure out and do like analysis of stuff, that stuff's gone. Like it's biodegradable. It's in the world. It's like she probably could have gotten away with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like if anybody could, it would be her.
Why?
Because she had all the resources, you know? The tigers, her family.
If you... I don't even want to get too deep into this. Carole fucking Baskins got me over here trying to figure out some murder. Because I talked about this on a podcast with Jose. And so if you had to kill someone, how do you think you would do it?
I don't know. I've never thought about that.
Like, what do you think you could do that would give you the most likely chance of getting away with it? All right, I'm just gonna throw out ideas. Could you stab someone?
No.
Okay, I should have just said you cannot stab someone because I wouldn't have picked that one for you. Do you think that you could shoot someone?
Okay, so is this like a situation if like somebody like breaks into our house?
No, this is like murder.
Like this is somebody I love and care about?
No. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's your first thought when you think of murder? This is like someone I know personally, really close. No, could be a stranger. No, all right, let's say, all right, neither. It's not, what was the first thing that you had said? So it's not someone that breaks in and it's also not someone you love.
So just somebody that pisses me off?
Yeah. Like like a person in the neighborhood that you're like I don't want that person in my neighborhood.
I don't think I have it in me.
Can we just like hypothetically, if you have to, you have to.
If I had to, like if somebody had a gun to my head and said you have to do it.
Oh my God. I don't know how else I could say this to you. So think of whatever situation you want to paint in your head. You have to do it. How do you think you would do it? But they're also like, hey, it's up to you to get away with it.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't even try to get away with it. Like, I feel like if I had to kill somebody, I would like tell the cops, like, okay, I did it and I'm sorry. Like, so I wouldn't even try to get away with it.
I mean, this makes me feel better as a person you're with.
Like, I can't see myself trying to lie through that.
No?
No.
Do you think that you would fall apart in an interrogation room?
Yeah, I probably would like rat myself out right away.
Like in the first minute?
Like I'd be like, I'd call the cops and be like, I did it before they even get here.
They're like, did what? I saved a bunch of money by switching to Geico. Bye.
Okay, bye.
I'm going to turn your mic a little bit down. Hold on.
Okay.
You're talking.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a strange situation. I don't think I would be able to. Would you?
Yeah.
You would?
No. I don't think. First of all, I don't think I would want to. But in a situation where I think I might have to, or if I had to, like I always try to figure out like what would like, not like how, because I agree with you. I don't know if I could do something to get away with it, right? Like I don't think I could if like I ever got to that point. I think.
Yeah.
Like, I like if I studied it, right, or something like that. The same way if you did, I'm sure you could. So I don't think about that part, but if I had to, I always think about what I'm capable of. And I ruled out stabbing right away.
Yeah.
That's like one of my biggest fears, to be stabbed, but also to stab someone. That's like brutal. Like that's like, damn, like you have to like be kind of numb, I think, at that point. Because it's like physical. And you have to keep doing it, I think. You know what I mean? Or at least be like smart, like where you, it was too much for me.
Yeah.
I think if I ever had to, it couldn't be that. Maybe shoot someone in self-defense, but I don't think I could go do it like intentionally. But when me and Jose talked about it on the podcast, I said it with poisoning. I feel like I could poison someone.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I feel like I could. Like if I had to kill someone, I feel like I could poison them. Like I feel like that would be easy, like consciously, like or conscious, not cautiously, conscious.
Conscious.
It wouldn't make me feel like I wouldn't be freaking out about it. I could just like go up and like pour it and like and move on, and just hope like it worked.
Yeah.
I could do that, or drowning. We settled on drowning too.
Drowning would be horrible.
Not physically, like we agreed that we could tie a stone to someone's foot and like throw him off in the ocean, because you would just kick him off. Like I couldn't physically drown someone, but I could like tie a stone and like throw him in the ocean.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I've never thought about that.
No.
No.
You are now. Murderer, like on Lion King. So, but if you're Carole Baskins and you have a tiger and a meat grinder, that's got to like ring a bell in your head, especially if you're feeding these tigers every day. Maybe not at first, but like year 2, you're like, damn, this tigers will eat anything.
Yeah.
My husband's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, that's true.
Damn, I should feed my husband to these tigers. Like it would hit you. It would hit your head for sure.
You definitely like kind of come in, like you don't think about it as much. I remember I had like kind of like a reptile. And
what was it? What's all the suspense about?
I don't remember what it was called. It was like a savannah.
A savannah monitor. It's a lizard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so it would eat like mice and stuff. And I like had the hardest time. Like,
I think those also eat crickets, by the way. But I mean, hey.
Yeah. But that was really hard.
To watch it?
Yeah.
Like to see it?
Mm-hmm.
How did it make you feel?
It just like freaked me out.
What part?
Like that the cute little mouse was gonna get eaten.
But the cute little mouse in the wild would get eaten.
Yeah, but I guess I just don't like watching it. But I don't think I ever really like watched it completely. Like I just kind of saw and then just continued with my life because it wasn't mine.
I saw that a lot when I was a kid because my mom dated that guy that had all the animals.
Yeah.
And he had an anaconda at one point. That's not even like when I was a kid and people knew that we had an anaconda, they would always be like, dude, I got to see it. That's crazy. But it was like not that, it wasn't like the one from the movie Anaconda. And it wasn't like a regular anaconda either. It was like a baby one. And it grew, right? It turned into like a fucking teenage anaconda or whatever you want to call it. Like it grew up.
Where does it go to the bathroom?
In there. Like there's like little spots, like it leaves little spots. It's not going to take a shit. Like it's not going to be a big old turd. But it leaves little spots and it's like sawdust. Well, you can have different things in there. depending on what kind of animal it was. The anaconda had water and a stone, the same way the turtle would, the old turtle we had, but it was like a very little amount of water, and then it would sit up on this little rock that was there. But it was like a platform almost, not like a single rock. And so it would go in the water because anaconda, not all, like a rattlesnake wouldn't need water, right? But the anaconda would go in there and then it would come back up and like chill there. And, but that wasn't even, he had a boa, or I'm sorry, not a boa. He had a python that was huge. Like, and I hate being inaccurate, and I suck at like lengths.
Especially when you're little, like you think things are bigger than they actually are.
But this one was, because I just remember people's reactions when they come over. Like, there's a giant fucking snake in it, and he didn't have a cage.
Oh, so it was just loose?
He just lived in the house. An apartment. It's a studio apartment.
And it would go to the bathroom in the house?
I don't know. I was a kid. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I really don't. But it just lived there, and it would just be places.
How long would you say it was? Like 6 feet?
Oh, no. 20s, in the 20s.
What?
Yes. And so...
Was it like thick?
Yes. Let me hold it up for the camera. Like literally like probably like this big around. So it was big. It was big. And we would see it eat stuff. We would feed stuff to it. And I was a kid, and it never did anything to me. My little brothers were smaller. But people would come over, right? Because we lived in kind of like a ghetto area. Mm-hmm. And like there'd be other animals, because he had like 20 animals. He had a bunch of animals. And there'd be this giant snake that lived in there. And they would always go, what? Like, is there like a giant snake like just chilling on your floor? His name was Hercules. And like my mom's boyfriend at the time would just be like, that's Hercules. And like he would just be there. And as a kid, I thought it was cool, and I would play with it. I wasn't scared at all. As an adult, thinking back to it, I'm like, oh my God, that was so dangerous. Like that thing could have ate us. Like we weren't the biggest kids.
That's crazy.
But it never did. It was a nice thing. Rabbits, mice, rats. Yeah, rabbits. We fed it a rabbit one time, but they don't. It isn't like a regular thing. They eat a rabbit, and this one was so big that it would maybe eat like monthly. But you have like the little anaconda they have. They would feed it mice, like little, or when it was small, they call them pinkies, and it would like essentially like a baby, literally no fur, just a pink baby mouse. You would buy them at Pete's Pets here in town, and you would go and just feed them those. And they would just eat them.
Yeah.
But of course, the big one would eat rabbits, and it would eat the rabbit, and then they wouldn't feed it for a couple months.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You never felt scared of it at all?
No. Well, he had other animals, and throughout the years, he was addicted to animals.
Was he like Joe Exotic?
I pretty much lived with Joe Exotic if he didn't just like tigers. Yeah, he had all kinds of stuff. I think it's part of the reason why I identify with the show too, is because it's like, I wouldn't now, but as a kid, if someone just showed me a tiger, I'd be like, all right, you promise it's not going to, because kids just listen.
Yeah.
They see a tiger playing with an adult and they're like, are you sure? You say it, you're saying this is safe? All right, bring it on. And you kind of develop that. The same way a cub gets used to people, how we talked about it. Yeah. A baby human being around animals is going to get used to being around animals. And so I was. And so I never got attacked by anything. He did. He had a giant iguana. I forgot the iguana's name. But the iguana bit him on the arm one day and took a chunk of his arm out. He had to go to the hospital.
Really?
And he was all about it. He was like, oh, like he had a scar. He would show everyone. He was all happy. And I remember thinking like, what the fuck? Like that, like that could happen to me. And one day I did get bit by a pet rat, which is not when people hear rat, they think of like the greasy giant ones in New York or whatever, the ones they see outside. Yeah. It's a domesticated rat. You know what I mean? Because they bought it from a pet store. And so it wasn't like a dirty rat, but he had rats as pets that he would sometimes eventually feed to some of the other animals. And one day, I forgot the rat's name. God, I wish I remembered it. But I knew it wasn't the nicest rat, and it was all white. It had those fucking red eyes, like the blood red eyes. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
They look scary. And I was in charge of feeding them. And so it's like pellets. They would eat little pellets. And so I was trying to refill it, and I put my hand on top of the cage, and it jumped up like real quick, and it like bit my finger. The little rat did. And they have like just 2 teeth. That's all. I mean, they might have more, but they have those 2, and it pinched. Like the way it nicked me, it pinched. It didn't take a chunk out, but it had like these 2 incisions where it got my finger. And as a kid, I remember that's the only time I ever got attacked by any of them. And then it freaked me out a little bit. And I remember thinking like it was a check. Like for me as a kid, I was like, damn, I can't be around like these animals, specifically that rat. But like I started realizing my own mortality. I'm like, damn, any of these animals could get me at any point.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy that you were around that many animals at one time.
It was hard to tell people when I got taken out of that home and put in foster care.
Yeah.
Because it sounds made up. I think that now that people see like that show, They're like, oh, this is like possible.
Yeah.
But he lived here in New Mexico in Las Cruces, and this was a guy that had his own issues. He thought he had mental health issues for sure. He thought he was a licensed herpetologist, which is the study of reptiles. And so he thought, because he was mentally ill, that he could have these exotic animals like in his home or in our apartment.
Mm-hmm. Did they ever know?
We would constantly get in trouble. At one point, he had a pig, and we couldn't fit it in the house, and so we put it in front of the house, and that's what got him popped for the first time. Was people were like, "Hey, this guy like down like his apartment building, like, hey, this guy in apartment fucking C or whatever it was has a pig in front of his house." And they came over to tell him about his pig not being there, and they saw a bunch of other animals. He had to get rid of a bunch, and so he moved and then got them back.
Yeah.
And he would keep in mind he didn't have a job, and neither did my mom, and so they would use government funding to buy these animals. They were getting obviously food stamps for us, but they would use those food stamps to buy food for the animals, and they were getting what's the one where they give you money?
Oh, TANF for welfare.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not just they were getting food help, like food stamps.
Yeah.
They're also getting like a certain allotment of cash because neither one of them worked, and all that money would be spent on animals. And so when the new money was coming in, he would always say, like, next Thursday when we get our check, we're gonna go buy this Italian lizard or something. And he has so many animals. He had fish tanks. He had a piranha at one point, a shark, which like a baby shark. We had a baby shark at one point. Mm-hmm. But he had a tank full of stuff, and he was not a herpetologist. So these animals, like he put like a shark in with a piranha, like with other. At one point, he mixed like a saltwater and a freshwater like fish, and like killed like a lot of them that he spent like hundreds of dollars on. And so he just didn't know what he was doing.
That's crazy.
And this is before the internet, so like right now we could just Google what to do.
Yeah.
But he was winging it. And so there's tons of animals. That's how I knew what the lizard was that you were talking about, the monitor lizard.
You guys had one too?
He had two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Samson and Delilah. Like he would always name them after the Bible, which is Hercules, which obviously not in the Bible, but it was a Greek mythology god. Yeah. He would name them after Greek mythology characters, Bible characters, or whatever. Like he's just a weird guy. Yeah. But yeah, he had Savannah and not Savannah. Sorry, but what did I say? What was the names? Damn it! I just said them.
I don't remember.
What's the dude where they cut his hair off? And
I've never read the Bible.
What?
Like I don't know.
You never went to church? Why am I blanking? Samson and Delilah. I think that was the dude where they cut his hair off, right? He had all his power in his hair. God told him and then the girl found out and cut his hair, like while he was sleeping.
I never heard of that.
You got to read the Bible, girl.
Maybe you can read it to me at night.
No, never again. That was when I was a kid. My grandma used to make me go to church.
Yeah.
And used to make us like study certain like things.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had all kinds of lizards and did all kinds. He'd even write his license number on the cage, which he made up. He didn't have a license.
Yeah.
But people thought he did. He presented. This is how crazy this was. And I don't want to say the name of the elementary school because I don't want to get them in trouble. This is years ago. But I went to a local elementary school here in Las Cruces. And he presented to the school these animals. I don't know how. One of the teacher's son, I think, was in my grade and came over to my house. It was a kid because a lot of kids came over to my house. One of the kids, anyways, was a relative, was a faculty, and they said, hey, there's this guy that he's a licensed herpetologist. He's legit. He's got his number up on the cage and everything. And they're like, that'd be cool if he came and did a demonstration for the school. And so the school paid him to come to the school and show off these animals. And he's just a regular dude in a wheelchair, which he's not really in, by the way. He could walk. He was in a wheelchair. And he presented all these animals to the kids, all of us, which they didn't check the number. Like they didn't like verify his license or anything. And he came to school.
Did he have like the kids like play with the animals or touch them?
He at one point put a snake on the ground that came at us, and he held the tail, and like it was coming at if he let go, like the snake would have got us.
Yeah.
Damn it! Like I wish I could say the name of it because people that like hear it will be like, "Damn it!" Well, people that know me that went to like elementary school with me, they're like, "I remember when he did that."
Yeah.
And it was embarrassing because he wore these tight shorts. This is back like in 2000, like literally 2000, I think, or 99 or 2000. I don't remember whenever I was in elementary school, and he had these really tight shorts, and like sometimes his balls would fall out. Like it did it during the demonstration with the kids, but that's how he was, and he like didn't know. Like it would happen at the house all the time. His balls would just fall out like of his like of his shorts. We thought he was in a wheelchair at the time because he was in a wheelchair. Turns out later on he made the whole thing up.
Yeah.
He was just pretending to be in a wheelchair. And so at school, there was like moments where his balls are about to pop out. And like all the other kids made fun of me and they're like, your dad's balls are about to pop out. I was all embarrassed.
That is embarrassing. I kind of wish I was able to meet him. He sounds like a character.
You don't want to meet that guy.
Yeah.
He, I don't know what happened to him, but
yeah.
You know, for the longest time, I would always say, if I ever saw that guy, I'd fuck him up. I'd always say that. For the longest time. But I think I'm at a point now where it's like, I don't think I would. Like, I think that, like, I would definitely not like him. I definitely wouldn't feel safe with anyone that I know around him.
Yeah.
But I think I would not. Like, I think I'd just be like, dude, you're not worth my time. Like, I'll just move on with my life. But as a kid, like, he was terrible. He was a terrible person. And so, like, I would always say that. And I felt like it was normal. Because I feel like people, I'm like, once they know what he did, they would agree. And most people would. You know what I mean? But it's just like, it's just a weird mindset.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, I live with a real life Joe Exotic, or my version of it. If my brother's listening to this podcast, he's going to be either one of them, Josh or Colin. They're going to be like, yeah, I remember that shit.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell people because it sounds made up. He had owls. He had hawks.
An owl?
Yes. No, I shouldn't have said owl. He had hawks. He had birds. He had hawks. At one point, he had a falcon. He had a falcon with like 1 foot, I think. Like he bought it from like a store and they were going to get rid of it because like 1 foot had to get amputated. So it was like a falcon with 1 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just had weird stuff that we should not have had in the house. And
Yeah.
how I got out of that, literally unscathed, except for the rat that bit my finger the one time, I have no idea. I don't know how.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're really good with animals, though. I feel like dogs.
Really? What animals? Yeah, dogs. Because
Yeah.
I like people and I like life forms. Like I like love and I like compassion and I like interactions and stuff like that. So a dog is easy. If someone doesn't like dogs, something's wrong with that person, right?
Yeah.
But a lizard or a snake, it's when people hate. A lot of people hate snakes, and that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But what's? I mean, there's also animals, right? Would you be scared of a snake?
Yeah. I remember that one time I held one at that when we went hiking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't look scared though.
I was scared. I didn't want to touch it, but I think in that situation, like I knew that the person that was giving it to me like knew a lot about it, so I was fine.
That's me as the kid.
Yeah.
Like this person, they would not just hand me a giant snake that'll murder me, right?
Yeah. But then like anything could happen, I guess.
Anything
right?
can happen.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Even people that are like super trained and like professional.
Yeah.
You just never know, right? But yeah, they kind of freak me out. Snakes in general.
Yeah. I like dogs. If I live the rest of my life and I just have dogs, I'm cool with that. Like, I don't think I would feel like I missed out. Probably because I was around a lot of animals when I was a kid.
Yeah. I used to want to be a zookeeper.
I remember you saying that a bunch of times, but now that I'm hearing how you feel about other animals, do you think that you could do that?
No. I was like, that was like when I was little, like when I was like 8 or something. And like, I want to be a zookeeper.
I'm glad you brought this up.
But I like pictured like just playing with the animals.
That was your version of a zookeeper?
Yeah, like
and animals in kids' books or kids' shows are always like super like
cute and nice.
It's like la la la, like they're all just hanging out. Or like well, you didn't go to church, but when I went to church and they did Noah's Ark, there's like a video, Veggie Tales. Do you remember Veggie Tales?
Yeah.
Is that everything with you? They show the Noah's Ark episode or any cartoon or any depiction of Noah's Ark. It's like 2 lovely zebras, and they just walk in, and then there's like 2 lions. Like, hey guys. Like, I'm gonna join you on the ark.
Yeah.
And then there's like 2 like hawks, and they're like, we're gonna hang out up here. And there's like 2 hyenas, like, we're gonna join you guys, and everyone gets along. So when you're a kid, you're like, oh my god, like
that would be so cool.
Animals are great.
Yeah.
But isn't that just proof that Noah's Ark couldn't have happened? You telling me lions and tigers and bears were on the same exact boat with like puppies and like bunnies? You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that tiger would have been like, yeah, I'm going to go eat that bunny. Like, there's no way they all lived. Like, there's no way. I don't want to get too deep into Bible stuff. But going back to what you were saying, as a kid, it's depicted as this harmony, like a harmless thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I can see you, like, as a kid going like, yeah, I just want to like be in this wonderful like area with all these animals.
Yeah.
When do you think that you changed your mind?
I like last year. No, I'm just kidding.
After what the shit you just said, sounds terrifying.
After the Tiger King. Just kidding.
Do you remember?
Probably like as I got older, like 20s or something. I'm like, oh, you actually have to like do a lot of work, and you know. Then I kind of realized.
Do you remember why you even chose that in the first place? Like, think deeper. Like, not just like I like animals. Do you remember being asked? You know, they would always like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Do you remember why? Like, do you remember like was there other options? Like, were you like it's between X, Y, and Z? Like, or was it always just like I want to be a zookeeper? Does someone else say they want to be a zookeeper? Like, how did that work?
I think it was just like when I would go to the zoo as a kid, I'd be like, wow, this is so cool and it's so magical. Like, that would be so awesome. I don't know. But I don't think anybody else ever wanted to be a zookeeper. But I think.
I remember kids wanting to be zookeepers. I feel like that was a pretty common one.
Yeah.
It was lawyer or surgeon if you wanted to make money. Everyone wanted to be a surgeon, a firefighter or cop or something with animals. Zookeeper. Or
veterinarian or something.
Vegetarian. No, a veterinarian or something like that. But I feel like that was pretty common.
Yeah.
It's funny that you brought this up because I was actually thinking of this recently, and I haven't shared this on the podcast or kind of with anyone. I think you know this. But when I was a kid, I got in trouble for career day. Do you remember this story?
Yeah, I think you shared it with Ricky on the podcast, didn't you, or no?
Which one? Oh, I kind of did, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, where like I was like oh yeah, that's right, I did.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't share it again, but pretty much like I said like I want to be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like what? And it was like around Columbine and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I did say it. I did say that on that podcast. I think when you had mentioned like I want to be a zookeeper when I grow up, my brain went to like, well, what did I want to be? And that's like a big moment in my life. I always remember that.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you want to know the story, you got to go back and watch. I don't remember the episode. I think it was episode 3. It was the first podcast I did with Ricky, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
Yeah, but that's what I wanted to be when I grew up. But I guess maybe like I never really had a thing. I'm trying to think like if there's like a moment where I was like, I want to do this or something. I remember the first thing that I really, really wanted to do was comedy.
Yeah.
Like really. And that was like later in life. That was like after high school. Like in high school, I just want to get out of high school. Like I didn't have any ambitions after that. Even the things I was good at, I just figured they would stop after that.
Like sports and stuff?
Mm-hmm. Like I didn't plan to take it elsewhere. I planned to like live my life. You don't think ahead when you're that young.
Yeah.
But I remember really wanting to do comedy. I kind of do still at times, but not the way I used to. But yeah, I remember thinking like I could do it. Like I could really do it. And then I started realizing because my friends would gas me up a lot. Like, damn, like you'd be so good. And then I started realizing like, friends do that about like everything to their whole friends.
Yeah.
We're always gassing people up about stuff that maybe it is authentic, but we don't think about the time, effort, work, passion, compassion, restrictions, the things you have to sacrifice to be successful at those things. Anything, not just that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's like when you really dive into all that, it's not. There's plenty of hilarious people that were never comics.
Yeah.
Because life happens. You know what I mean? And so I just remember, but if I'm thinking back, like that was one of the things that I was like pretty passionate about because I think it was because I thought I was capable. This takes me back to like what will work for kids in school. I think like opportunity, like I didn't know that it was an option to do that. If I had at a younger age, I would have pursued it more. Yeah. You know what I mean, I always thought like I had to go to college and there's no comedy college. You know what I mean? There's no option for like that. And so, yeah, it was just weird, but I knew I didn't want to be anything else. I didn't want to be like a scientist or something.
No. I wanted to be a doctor at one point.
I remember you telling me that.
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you want to be a doctor? So you went from zookeeper to doctor? It's like kind of in the same field.
Yeah, kind of helping.
What do you think made you want to be a doctor? Did you want to be an animal doctor or like a human doctor?
A human doctor.
And how did you get to that point?
I think it was in high school. I think that I was really good at like math and science. Mm-hmm. So I remember one of my teachers like in biology or something, I think I got like 100 in that class. Like I was just like really good at it.
Yeah.
And he was like, you should like really do something like in the medical field. And I think from then I was like, maybe I could be a doctor. And so I was pretty excited about that. So my first or my major in college was biology. That's what I started doing first. And then I switched to social work. I feel like this is a...
You're like, wow, wow, wow. At the end. You do this thing where you're telling a story. It's a good story, by the way.
Yeah.
And you were doing great. And then, but you kind of just, do you feel like it's like dying off, so I better just stop talking?
I don't know.
Because you started off like, yeah, like I really wanted to like, and then so like I was going to do bio, and then so I switched.
Yeah.
And then the story just stopped. You should keep going. Do you not feel like it's interesting?
I mean, I think it's interesting. I think I just kind of lost interest in biology.
Was that it though?
Yeah,
Because,
I think it was that I started working in like the social work field, you know?
and so do you think that you like that more? Do you think part of you still wants to be a doctor? I need to know this shit. Do we need to like get you into a doctor school or something?
Yeah.
Like where are you at today with being a doctor?
I feel like I am a social worker that works in the medical field. So for me right now, I feel like I've kind of gotten the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe one day I would. I mean, I'm going for my master's right now, so I might be interested in being a counselor or doing something more medical in the end.
Yeah. Do you think you could perform surgery on someone?
I don't know, because whenever you like, remember in science when you had to do like the dissecting, I kind of enjoyed it.
That doesn't make you a good surgeon. I think that makes you a bad surgeon if you really enjoy it. It's like, yeah, you need the surgery.
Yeah.
You know, you're just trying to cut people open for no reason.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
Is that harsh? I'm like, that's a terrible reason to be a surgeon.
No, I don't think I would want to be a surgeon.
What did you enjoy? Wait, can we get back to that part real quick?
Yeah.
You enjoyed cutting animals open?
I enjoyed like learning about it. And like being like, oh, like you open it up and you find this and you find that and like.
Are you saying you enjoyed learning about it while you were doing it? Or are you talking about reading a book? So you actually so by doing the surgery, you enjoyed what part of it?
The dissecting, like being able
seeing the insides and figuring out what was where?
Like what was connected to what. And
it didn't freak you out?
Mm-mm.
Did you have to do the thing where like you had to remove the heart and like the liver and like all those things?
Yeah.
Were you good at it?
Yeah, I was pretty good at it.
I think, remember earlier when I was asking you how you could murder someone?
Yeah. Just picture me dissecting.
I think we just figured your thing out.
You could be like, I'm really helping them. Just kidding.
I couldn't stab anyone, but I could probably put them asleep and then like dissect them. You would be that weirdo on that episode. I think that I did a pig in high school, my friend Carson, and I remember there was like special credit for getting the spinal cord attached to the brain still.
Oh,
like
yeah.
if you could pull it off, you got extra credit or something. I don't know if I did or not. I feel like I did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just remember we wanted to. Like it was like the challenge.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't be a doctor. I don't like even going to see a doctor. I couldn't be around sick people that much. So I don't think I could ever do that.
No.
Not like capability wise, but like passionate wise. No interest in it.
I feel like I like helping people, so I would like that part of it, but I think the responsibility part would be kind of scary.
Like having someone's like health in your hands?
Yeah.
Like if you gave someone bad advice. Do you think there's laws protecting people like doctors? Because I feel like your advice is just that, right? You're basing it off of what you see and what you've learned. Mm-hmm. But there's a risk in like everything. If you say like, hey, you're probably going to be fine, and then that person dies, like, could that doctor be sued, do you think? Or is it like, hey, doctor, this happens?
I don't know how that works. I'm sure there's lots of liabilities, and I'm sure that like they always have the possibility of getting sued.
Yeah.
Like pretty much anything, like real estate, like, I don't know, doctors, pretty much anybody can get sued.
Yeah. You're talking really low, and I think you're backing up a little bit naturally. Because I can barely hear you in my headphones. That's why.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There's always liability. You can sue anyone.
Yeah.
Isn't this like Tiger thing proof of that? Like I think he's suing those people now for like $90-some million or something, 70, whatever, some outrageous amount. He's in jail.
Yeah.
But you can sue for almost anything. I think that's the issue. Is people need to realize anyone could sue anyone. I can get up and sue one of the listeners right now for like assault, and like. Being accused of that, like people would automatically put you as someone who assaulted someone.
Yeah.
People always forget like you are supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And I mean, because a lot of people don't do that, I think that's why people act that way. They assume like if you're being charged, you must have done something. But there are people all the time that accuse people of stuff that person probably didn't do. I'm sure doctors are one of them. I'm sure doctors get sued all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
It has to be like one of the top ones.
But then remember that one documentary that we watched with the opiates?
The Pharmacist. I like that one, yeah.
Then you see stuff like that where like they're obviously not doing the right thing and like they get away with so much.
Yeah. Was that like the reason though? I'm going to pull my leg out. It's like falling asleep. Was that the reason she got away with it though? Why did she get away with it? I don't remember that.
She got into that car accident and then she got all messed up.
Yeah, that's the reason why she got away with. She got charged still, but they gave her like reduced sentence because she was like all messed up.
Well,
but
they didn't charge her like.
Why did it take so long? Is what I was getting at. Because there was like a thing where the FBI was investigating her, but it was like fucking obvious that she was doing illegal stuff. I think, damn, that's weird though. I'm not a cop, and I don't know anyone that's a cop, so I don't like know who to ask. But if I did, I feel like they would say like you can't just arrest. I mean, you can arrest someone, but you want someone that large doing that much like bad stuff. I think you want to make sure you don't fuck it up, because I think once someone gets acquitted of something, you double jeopardy, right? You can't. That's what happened with OJ when he got acquitted of murder. Like you can't try him again for that same murder.
Yeah.
And so it's like you want to make sure you get that done.
Yeah, I don't even think she got charged like criminally. I think she just got her license taken away.
I feel like there was some sort of criminal charge. Even for the accident. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it. That's a good one too, though. I feel like we've been getting into docu-series a lot. I feel like that's going to be the new thing.
Yeah.
Like reality shows and stuff like that, which will always be popular. And then there's documentaries, which are sometimes popular. Randomly, you get a really popular one.
Yeah.
But docu-series, like I feel like it's going to be the new thing.
I didn't even know that was a thing, docu-series.
That's what the Tiger King was. A documentary is a movie, usually like 2 hours long or something.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, a docu-series is mini episodes of like kind of like it was 7 episodes. Yeah, something like that. And then The Pharmacist was like a 4-part episode, 4-episode thing. So those are like mini docu-series and stuff. The same thing with the
Don't Fuck with Cats.
Don't Fuck with Cats. That was a good one.
I couldn't watch that one.
And then the Ted Bundy one.
Oh, yeah.
That was one. Or at least the tapes one.
Yeah.
But you like the movie because you like Zac Efron. There's something sexy about a murderer when he's Zac Efron. But when it's just a regular guy, he's an asshole who kills people.
I wonder how it would have been during that time, though, because everybody said at that time that he was attractive.
And they sensationalized him. They said that like chicks would show up to see him. He was such like in the media a lot. They would show up because they thought he was hot. It was like a hot guy, and like that was going to jail. And they're like his groupies.
Yeah, I think that's crazy.
Have you ever been attracted to someone that was going to jail? I ask you this because like one time I got arrested and like I had to wear an orange jump. I got arrested for a ticket, and then you had to come. They for whatever reason booked me because they had nothing better to do. Even though I was gonna get out in a few hours, and when you picked me up, like I was behind the glass and I was all pissed off because it took way longer. There's a whole story there that we probably shouldn't get into, but
yeah.
I remember afterwards you're like, it was kind of hot to see you in that outfit. It's like, what?
Yeah. I was the question if I've ever dated somebody or if I.
Sure. talk about it. No, like the question was like, is that a thing? Like, do you find criminals attractive? Is there an attractive factor about criminals?
Maybe as I was younger, but now I don't think so.
No.
I think when you're like younger, you're just like, ooh, like the bad boy. You know what I mean?
I feel like this would be a good episode of 100 Humans. That show we're watching on Netflix.
Yeah.
Where they like test different theories.
Yeah.
Like take one guy that's attractive, like Channing Tatum, and have people rate him. And then, well, it can't be Channing because everyone knows who he is. Yeah. But someone is like that's known to be that good looking, and then put him in a prison outfit and then get ratings. And then take someone that's not attractive, like the Tiger King.
Put a mullet on him.
Have people rate him, and then like in his prison outfit. Because I wonder like if it makes a difference. Same exact person, but regular person or like wearing a uniform, like a prison uniform or a jail, whatever you want to call it. Both.
Yeah, that's true. I think there's something to. I mean, they say like there's something to people being attracted to people in uniform.
Yeah.
I don't know about like prison uniforms, but
I feel like that's a thing.
Yeah.
I feel like people are attracted to people. There's a ton. You never hear about women in prison that have dudes on the outside just trying to give her money.
Casey Anthony. Everybody was all into her.
But did she go to prison? I think she's fine. She got away with it, I think.
She didn't go to prison, but she was in jail. Because remember, she would go to court and she would be in her little suit.
So you picked out one person, right? And that's a celebrity. But think about like people in general. You know how many women go to jail? She wasn't
a celebrity, though.
She was during the court hearing before she ever went to jail. If she did, I don't think she did.
I think she became famous because of her looks, though. Like, she wasn't like a celebrity and then that happened. She like...
Well, here's my point. Regardless of one person that you just pointed out that maybe people were all about. Go to our jail here in New Mexico, Las Cruces. There's way more, if any, There's all these people that go see their person in jail, right?
Yeah.
Men. There's women that will go see pen pals. There's websites where you can hook people up with your prison buddy. Women. Dr. Phil, there's always some girl writing a dude in prison. It's very rare, if at all, that there's women in prison who have men wrapped around their finger, bringing them commissary money and sticking around. You know what I mean? Like
That's
men
true.
that are like, yeah, like I love her. I'm just going to wait for her to get out of jail.
Yeah.
It's very rare.
That's true. Maybe it's because the girls end up being together in jail. Like Orange is the New Black. Okay.
Wait, what is your point, though? Like, you think that would be a reason why they don't have guys?
Yeah. Because maybe
Well, I
they're
think
like,
they do. I think that men just aren't like that. Like, men aren't that we're, and I think, I don't mean it in a bad way. I think it's like a genetic thing. Like, we're kind of like wild. There was a cool, I wish I had the quote. There was a docu-series. I gotta stop watching these. And I didn't watch all of them. I watched them on YouTube. It was a transgendered person, and it was a female that was transitioning to be a male. And it was super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was saying when she started taking hormones to be a male, she was like, I got fucking horny, like super horny. And she's like, women are horny. But like she was transitioning. So she's like, this is what a horny man feels like. And I think she had the operation. I don't remember. So she was pretty much fully transitioned.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting because she was like, oh, this is way different. Like girls don't understand. It's funny because as men, we always say that, but then we're assholes. But this person was like, oh no, like men have it's a different type of horniness where it's just like, oh, like I need something right now. I gotta get this like testosterone out of my body. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's different. And it was cool hearing her perspective because she was like, or he now as in the docuseries as a man, he was like, when I was a girl being horny, it's way different. And that's a unique perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just to be like, no, it's way different as a man. And so like, it makes me feel better because I'm like, yeah, that's for sure true. And I don't think women always understand that men genetically, hormonally, we're in the moment a lot. And I think a lot of it has to do with like, if you find a guy that is not cheating on you and is being respectful to you, and it's, I think you're getting out of the camera there, homie. You got to come in a little bit. Is being respectful to you and isn't hopping on urges, you know what I mean? Or doing all those things, like that's impressive. And if you have someone that's doing that,
Yes.
you should thank that person, give them extra kudos. That's hard to do. That's impressive for a guy to do that. And so,
like buy them some animals or something.
no, how about just like, you're awesome. Sure, you could play Xbox for an extra hour.
You can play Xbox as much as you want.
But not every guy does. You know how many guys in the world are playing Xbox and their chick is like, get off your fucking ass and you need to clean the dishes or something.
Really?
Yeah, I bet.
I'm not like that. I'm pretty chill about your Xbox playing because then it allows me to play on my phone.
Yep, which is your version of an Xbox.
Yeah. I'd like to get into a game with you though sometime.
I think it'd be cool. Have we ever gotten into a game together?
I think we did Mario Kart for a while, remember?
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
And it's fun. Anyone can play Mario Kart.
I
There's not a lot of these two buttons and a steering wheel.
Yeah.
If it's Mario Kart. But when you play some of these games like Call of Duty and stuff, like
they're hard
the
because
thumb
you have
dexterity.
to like, yeah.
Like you have to like get used to it. Like you have to get used to like the quick. You have to be super quick. So finally, if you've never played games at all, getting used to the controller is weird.
Yeah.
When you finally get used to the controller and you play someone like online, you're like, oh, they're like on a whole nother level. Like,
yeah.
There's like a whole nother level of like what they're doing.
Yeah, it takes a lot. Like, remember that one time I played with you and Lloyd? It was like the zombie one.
Yeah, it's Call of Duty. It was back when they had the zombies.
And like I would die in like 1 second, and then you guys were just laughing at me the whole time.
Yeah. Yes, I definitely remember that.
I tried though. I put effort.
Yeah, you did. I feel like you're a little bit less talkative this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've been talking like a lot, and I'm like waiting for you to take over. And like I asked you about like something, and you're like, yeah, I want to be a doctor, and then just grew out of it.
I don't know. It just felt like a resume question.
We've been cooped up in this house on quarantine. Well, there's no questions. You can talk about anything in the world. I just feel like up to this point, if we were to watch it right now, like it would be a lot of me talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like waiting for you to hop in. But are you like tired or something?
No, I'm not tired.
No.
Just chilling.
You
just
feel
talking.
You're doing great at like the response part of it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I didn't know if it was like for a reason or something. do you ever just want to talk about something?
Not necessarily.
What goes through your head? I want to get in your mind. I don't want this to be the Will podcast. I want it to be the Will and Laura one where we talk about stuff. What pops up in your head? Like, even if it's random, like, what are you doing? Like right now in your head, like, where do you go?
Where do I go in my head?
Where do you go?
I'm usually pretty connected in the conversation.
You're doing really well. I don't mean to say it like that at all.
Yeah.
You're really good in the conversation, but I'm just saying, like, you're not like diving into anything. I feel like you're just kind of like waiting for me to kind of ride the wave or something. I don't want to be the wave.
Yeah.
I'm cooped up in this house. You need to be the wave. I'm handing the reins over to you. You're running the show now. Let's see how well you do. Go for it.
Well,
you can interview me, or you can talk about yourself.
I don't like to talk about myself. I feel like it's an awkward thing to do.
Well, thank God you have control, because you don't have to do that if you don't want to.
We can talk about control.
Oh, so you're doing great. Keep going.
Do you ever feel like the need to like control situations?
No. I feel like I naturally will control situations. It's part of who I am. But in moments where other people take control, which you could totally do right now, I like it because it allows me to relax a little bit.
Yeah.
So no, like I don't ever feel like I need to control a situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, there's been times where like I have felt the need to like control things, like if I'm worried about like the outcome of something, like if I'm worried that something's gonna happen, I feel like that's the only time that I've ever felt like I wanted to control things for like myself or other people.
Like, can you give me an example?
Like if I know that like something, or I have a feeling of that something isn't like good for somebody, then I feel like I like to kind of just bring it up to them, like, hey, think about this, because, and not tell them not to do it, but I think like I find myself like wanting to be like, hey, like be careful about this, you know, and not necessarily like I'm trying to control the situation, but just that like I want them to be aware of a certain thing that maybe they're not aware of. I can't help but like do that sometimes with people that like I care about, I think.
Yeah. You can't think of an example?
I guess like an example would be like if like you were like drinking or something and you're like, hey, I'm gonna like go to the bar or something, like in my mind it'd be like, hey, like we'll be careful, like don't be drinking and driving, why don't you get an Uber, you know what I mean, like that kind of thing. Like I feel like,
but you don't do that all the time. Like I think you have done that.
Yeah.
So but you're saying that like when I have the like, need to like do that?
But it's only when I have like a really bad feeling about it. Like if I just like am kind of like have like this feeling that comes up, then I'm kind of like, yeah, like maybe I should tell them just in case. I don't know. It's like a weird thing. I don't know if it's like just like an intuition or.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie Premonition with
Sandra Bullock?
Sandra Bullock.
I have, but it's been years. Like I want to say like I watched it when it first came out. I do remember part of it, like whenever she like knows that her husband's gonna die in a car accident, right? Or something at the very end, she like.
Well, I think it's her day. She keeps reliving the same day. I think it starts off with, I don't remember, but I think it starts off with her husband dies in a car accident and her daughter like runs to the glass door. Do you remember that? Like cuts her face up.
Oh yeah.
It's weird, but then she keeps having it and she's trying to stop her husband from leaving the house that day or something.
That would suck if that happened.
Yeah, like Groundhog Day. Like if you kept living the same day over and over.
Is that a movie too? Groundhog Day?
Yeah, it's an old movie.
Yeah. Is it scary?
No. It's funny. Bill Murray is he's a reporter, I think, and he goes out because the whole groundhog story, if a groundhog sees a shadow, there's all these extra days of winter, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
But I don't remember because it's such an old movie. But that's how it starts. Like I think the groundhog sees its shadow, and then like he repeats the same day over and over. So he keeps waking up and like meeting this girl. But that's where that phrase comes from. But yeah, there's an old movie called Groundhog Day. That's pretty much what it is. I feel like there's tons of movies about that now. Like the day keeps happening. We watched one.
Yeah.
Like you get stuck in a loop, like a time loop or something.
Can't remember what that one was called though. It was like with the teenager girl.
Yeah, and it was actually kind of good, but it ended. Like I hate movies that just end.
Yeah.
Well, we should start a petition. Can we stop ending movies? I hate movies that like
forever.
Where they build up or let me rewind. A movie, and this wasn't this movie, right? But have you ever seen a movie where it's a slow build up, right? Where you're like, not that good, but I feel like if I keep watching, and it finally starts getting good, like a little bit, and then it's over.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it. Like, I hate that shit.
And then you always like wonder like what would have happened or could have happened.
Yes. Or like, why did you have to do all that extra stuff to build up to the like 2 minutes of coolness and then end it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Oof.
I know it's super annoying. I'm trying to think of the last movie that I've seen that was kind of like that. Can you think of the last one you saw?
Like a build up kind of movie?
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of bad movies. I feel like it's another benefit of being quarantined is I feel like we've been like able to watch. We watched Ex Machina. That was super good. I love that movie. Ex Machina, the one with the robot that's a girl.
Oh yeah.
What'd you think of that movie?
That one was really cool.
Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all.
No.
Like I felt like it was going to be like kind of more. I mean, it obviously was like kind of like sci-fi-ish, you know?
Yeah, it was sci-fi-ish.
But I felt like it was kind of realistic. Like, I don't want to give it away too much, but I felt like it was like, this could happen, you know, in the future. Like,
we can give it away a little bit. It's about a guy that he wins this thing and he gets to go to this millionaire's home who happens to build an AI robot. It's a female, and his job is to test the robot to see if it's ready to be in production.
Yeah.
And then all kinds of crazy shit happens. And then it ends in a way that will really, really cool twist. It's one of those twists that you don't see coming, I think. Did you see that coming?
No.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I kind of saw part of it, but the way it ended was super cool. But I like movies like that where it's like you think you have a certain thing. I like movies where you're forced to pay attention to the plot, and I think that you're emotionally involved with some of the characters.
Yeah, that was a good one. I liked Star Wars too.
Yeah, I like all the Star Warses.
Yeah.
Star Warses.
Star Wars.
Multiple Star Wars.
Yeah. I thought that Star Wars ended pretty good, but I want more Rey. I like Rey a lot.
She's done.
I know.
Well, she didn't like pass away or something. She's going to be in other movies, but that storyline is done. I feel like they could have done better on those movies. They did good. I like them all. But I think because I'm a fan of Star Wars. Had I never watched Star Wars and just watched those movies, I don't know if I'd be that much into it.
Yeah.
But I think once you're like into it, you're just into it, right? Just like if Twilight came out with a new movie, everyone would watch it, mostly women, because they've already liked the old movies, right?
Yeah.
But if there's never one or a book, like maybe it wouldn't be as popular. Once you're emotionally invested into something, you kind of stick through it. So I think they could have been better. I hope the new ones are good. But I mean, I liked them a lot, but I just thought they could have been more like lightsabers. I feel like a nerd even talking about this, but I feel like the old Star Wars had like really good lightsaber scenes, and like the newer ones had like decent ones. But the older, like episode 1, 2, and 3,
yeah,
those were like some of the best ones. I don't think you saw any of those. But
yeah,
they're like really good. Like whoever did the choreography for them, the fight scenes, they're like super good. Out of all 9 of them, the main movies, like to me, the fight scenes in those ones were the best.
We'll have to rewatch them because I think I've only seen like the newer ones, like the last maybe 4, I think.
Yeah, it's funny because episode 4, 5, and 6 are the old ones. So that's how they started off. The very first Star Wars movie ever was episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did 5 and 6. And then they went back and
like
did
prequels.
1, 2, and 3. Yep. And then they waited like 20-some years, right?
Yeah.
And then they finally, the 20-some years was between the first 3 and the second 3. Then they waited a bunch more years, and then they came out with the final 3.
Yeah.
But
good Star Wars movies.
Good old Star Wars.
Yeah.
Carole fucking Baskins. I love those shows.
I know. Do you think you'd rewatch it again?
Yeah, I wanted to rewatch them today. I thought about it.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't, but I probably will.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's things that I missed that I'll catch on. It's just so interesting.
Yeah, it is. I feel like when you watch something the second time, you pick up on things that you didn't like the first time.
Really?
Know? Yeah, especially me, because I feel like I'm always like multitasking, or like I'm kind of like playing on my phone and watching it. So I feel like there would be a lot that I would like pick up on.
Yeah, I feel like, that's usually how you are. So I feel like you could pick up on a lot of stuff if we went back and watched it.
Yeah.
I think I would pick up on some random stuff too. But I almost wish that I had never seen it.
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like it's going to be so much, like, you ever read, a lot of people get that with books. You ever read a book and you're like, damn it, I hate that they'll never be like, you get what I'm trying to say?
Like there'll be another book.
I can reread it 10 times. It will never be like the first time I read it. Yeah. And I don't read books, but I know people say that. But it's like your favorite movie. Like, it's good, but like it'll never be really like that first time you watched it. Specifically movies where the things pop out and stuff. But that show, like, it's so wild. Like, the anticipation and sucked in on the one event, led you to believe that there wasn't going to be anything crazier than that, and then there was. And so it's like if you rewatched it, you don't get that same feeling.
Yeah, for sure. But I feel like my favorite movies, though, I love to like watch them over and over.
Yeah, you do.
And songs.
But they don't feel the same as the first time you saw it. There's a special like feeling like when those things happen.
They kind of feel the same.
To you?
Yeah.
That's weird.
But like I think it's because it's like my favorite movies, you know?
Like that one specifically?
I guess like the ones I'm thinking about are like
I guess I was thinking of Twilight.
Like Twilight, Great Expectations, like all of those. Like I don't know, I just love them.
If you had to pick a favorite movie of all time, what would it be?
Probably Gatsby.
What? That's like a newer movie.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies.
I liked it, but
I know you didn't love it. You're a hater.
I'm not a hater. I just don't like movies where the dude loves the girl so much that he dies. I just think that's stupid.
So if it was like the girl that loves the guy so much and she dies, it'd be
You
better?
didn't even make that person. Like you knew that person. And that's even stupider was like that show or that movie was like he didn't even really know her. Like they don't even really talk about that. He just like moves in and then he's like, I met her a long time ago on deployment. And then she's like, yes. She didn't even really remember him. Do you remember that?
She remembered him.
She did, but she's like, oh my God, it's you. Like she didn't really. She went off and got married and had children. She had a fucking life. Meanwhile, he's just like, one day I will find her. And then he does, and like he's just like, I will throw these massive parties, and one day she'll show up. Like, think about in the real world if you had a fucking friend that was like, dude, I love this girl. I'm just gonna throw parties, and like maybe one day she'll show up. And then you were like, dude, that's never going to happen. And he goes, oh, okay, I'm going to buy a house across from her house and throw parties every night. And then maybe she'll show up. Because he did. He lived on the other side of the little lake.
It's romantic.
It's not romantic in real life, only in the movie. And then like one day she shows up with her fucking husband, I think, right?
Yeah.
Or no, the friend. That's what it was. The friend.
The husband was there too.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you would know.
Yeah, he was there.
But then like, and she's like, Gatsby. Like, she's just like, she kind of knows him. And he's like, I've loved her since the moment I've lived. And like, I just don't like stuff like that to where she's like, and then like towards the end of the movie, and I hope everyone's seen Gatsby right now. If I'm rooting Gatsby for you, then something's wrong with you. You got to go watch that. But by the end of the movie, she's just like, I don't know. Like, I love him too. And he's like, but you know, he'll never love you like I love you. And like, it gets wild. And I'm like, dude, just go away. Like, start a family. Like, she did that. You know what I mean? So I don't like movies where it's like, and at the end of it, he dies.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's the beauty in it. Like, he loved her so much that he died.
I think we should watch it tonight. Just kidding.
It annoys the fuck out of me. Even Twilight, when they're both trying to get her, and she's like, I love them both. Like, so I don't think she even says that. I think she just leads a dude on. Like, she's dating the Edward dude, and then he like agrees with anything she fucking wants. She's like, I can't fucking breathe right now. I'm gonna go outside and talk to Jacob. And he's like, I love you, so go be. And she'll go outside, and when it's all three of them in a room, she's all about Edward. And then when they go outside, she's like, I miss you, Jacob, and like is in his arms, and like it's just so stupid. And I'm like, God, like I hate that shit. I hate that.
I like it.
But
I think it might be because I'm a girl.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't like those scenarios. Because I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah, I could see that. But
I think it's a girl's fantasy to have two like people like all over them.
You think so?
Yeah, even in the Gatsby.
Yeah,
like when she had this like husband that was an asshole, but like he was like obviously an asshole, right?
I just realized that all of my favorite movies are like that. Titanic.
It's the thought.
Titanic, Pearl Harbor.
Well, was the Titanic like? Yeah, it was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pearl
Harbor for sure.
Pearl Harbor. What else do I like?
What is it about? Would you consider those chick flicks? Not all of them, right? I wouldn't consider Gatsby a chick flick, but it's that type
The Notebook. That's even like that too. That's
the realest fucking movie ever. I love that movie.
Yeah, you do.
Because is that not real? Like she went up.
But it's
like,
the same thing.
No,
like,
but he had a girl too. That's the thing. It's like don't even quiz me on my Notebook shit. He had that redheaded girl over, and she was like, "Will you look at me? It's like you don't even see me." And he's like, "I'm sorry." He pretty much was like, "Yeah, bitch, I think of another girl, but like, please go do the dishes." Because she
I feel like that would be you. I feel like you would be so.
No, I would not do that.
No, I feel like you would be honest though. Like if somebody asked you, Like, hey,
like if I was dating a girl and she's like, "You're thinking about someone else," and I'd be like, "Yes."
Yeah, if you
but
were.
I also want
like
you to stay here because I want sex.
I feel like you would.
No, that's pretty much what he did in that movie, by the way. But in that movie is still not the greatest like portrayal of like relationships, but it's way better than some of the other ones because at least he moved on and like he went to war, like he had a whole life, and so did she. Yeah. It's like that's why that movie's more realistic. But these shows where like the dude just like does the everything and the girl's like, I just don't know. I'm so confused. Like I just don't know who to pick. Just like, duh. I feel like that's a girl's fantasy. The way that guys like have weird fantasies about like alpha kind of like fucking I'm a warrior and I have all these sluts all over my house and they're just bowing down to me. Obviously it's an extreme one. I don't think of that. Yeah. But it's a typical thing that guys are into.
Or like tigers.
Tigers, yeah. But with women, I think it's usually that. It's like I want two people to fight over me and I want to not know.
Yeah.
It's like, does that like turn you on in your head?
No.
Think about it right now. Two attractive men love you and like picture yourself going, I just don't know who to pick. Like this part of you like, oh, like damn, I want to, like, does that feel good?
I would only like it if it was like the movie like Savages.
Savages?
Do you remember that one?
I feel like I know the name. What is, explain it.
It's with Blake Lively when she's with like two guys and their friends.
Why didn't you say the movie where Blake Lively's dating two dudes, two like really attractive buff guys?
Yeah, but they're like chill with it. I think I could do that.
But they're not. They end up. Did you watch the end of the movie?
Yeah, they all end up together.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn it. Maybe like I didn't watch the end of the movie.
They're like a throuple. Oh. And they all like love each other the same. Like
yeah.
Like
so you were saying that like that concept, like you're cool with that?
That would be cool. But like
you don't think it'd be jealousy in that relationship?
I think that guys handle jealousy a little bit better than girls do. I don't know. Like I feel like guys are more like level-headed about stuff like that.
I think it's fair for a girl to want that or to fantasize about that because it actually statistically happens a lot more in all those polygamous relationships. It's usually a guy with multiple wives, or if you're Mormon, no offense, Mormons, I love you, but they have multiple wives. Yeah. So it's typically that, right? And
like
so
sister wives.
Yes, and so I don't think it's that weird that women fantasize about having multiple husbands or multiple guys that are all over them.
Yeah, I don't feel like I fantasize about it, but then now that we're like thinking about it, a lot of my movies that I like love are about that.
You obviously fantasize about it though, and that doesn't always have to be a sexual like horny like thing. Yeah, it could just like fantasizing like is like a daydream, right? Or just wondering, or like I think you relate to those movies because you wanted to be those characters.
I think so.
Subconsciously. Obviously you love me. I don't take it personally at all, but I think in a cool situation in a world, I don't think it'd be that weird if you daydreamed about two dudes being all over you.
Yeah. I
would be like, that makes sense. Like, who doesn't want to be loved by two people?
It's weird that it's like a cultural thing though. Like people are like good with like chill with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like if it was a guy and two girls in a movie, then that would not like go down. Like if it was a guy that was like, I don't know, I like this girl, but I also like this girl, but I don't know which one to pick.
But it would be different because can you imagine a guy version of Twilight, like the other way around, where there's these like a vampire girl and like a wolf guy, and there's a wolf girl, and there's a human guy. Like I don't think it would be that way. It wouldn't be torn. It would be like in the movie Twilight, she's torn between the two dudes. She's never considering both of them. That was never an option. If it was the other way around, the guy would be like, can't we just all be together? That'd be his first fucking solution. How about we all just like make out and talk about this? Like that would be like the guy version of that. He would push for that. And so it's like
Joe Exotic.
Like Joe Exotic in reverse. But there's a movie with Reese Witherspoon, Tom Hardy, and then you know who Tom Hardy is?
Yeah, I do.
And then the other guy from Wonder Woman, the main dude that all the girls like, really attractive guy.
Is he like Captain American? America?
he's Captain Mexican, actually. No, he's like I forgot his name. I can't. Chris Pine.
Chris Pine. I don't know. I'd have to look him up.
Yeah, I remember you saying something like that. You're like attracted to him. So in that movie, she has these two really attractive guys. They're spies, and one of them goes on a date with her. Yeah. The other one coincidentally also like runs into her. And they both meet up and like, dude, you got to meet this girl I like. And he's like, you got to meet this girl I like. And it's the same girl. And then because they're competitive dudes, they're like, like, I'm not mad. He's like, I'm not mad. How about like, I mean, if you can get her, you can get her. Like whoever gets her first gets her. And so that's the premise of the movie is they're competitive and they're trying to get her. Meanwhile, she's like hanging out with her friends. Like I had these two amazing hot guys. And like, I feel like that's like a fantasy that a girl would have. Like two hot guys that are like competitive and vying for like
Did
her
she know
attention.
that they were like, that they knew each other?
No? That's like the end of the movie. She doesn't know that they know each other.
Oh,
so
okay.
she thinks she's lying to them. Or like she's
just
keeping
like
them separate.
Yeah.
She's going on dates with both of them and she's falling in love with both of them. Almost like one of those shows. And I think at the end she finds out that like they know each other. They're like best friends.
Oh shit.
They're like spies. Like that's part of the movie too. I think they have like gadgets and go on missions. It gets wild. It's been so long.
We should watch it.
I'm down to watch it. I think you would like
What is it called?
I don't remember. I'd have to Google it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't remember how it ends either. So we probably could rewatch it. But like I could see how that's like a girl's fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird that it's never the other way around. Like I feel like it would be interesting. I guess The Bachelor, because they're like dating a whole bunch of girls.
Yeah, or The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
What do you think? Have you ever fantasized about something? And it doesn't have to be sexual. It can be if you want to talk about that. But have you ever fantasized like about like a situation or like anything? Does anything pop in your head?
Not really. Like daydreamed?
However you interpret it. Like whatever. Like have you ever thought like, damn, like I wonder what this would be like? Like even if it's a phase, even if you don't feel that way anymore. Like is there anything where you're like, damn, I was pretty passionate about that at one point?
I get like that like with like vacations.
Vacations?
Like, yeah, like I'm like, oh, I would
You're
like
so PG-13. I'm like, it doesn't have to be sexual. You're like, what's the most unsexual thing I could say? I fantasize about vacations. So you imagine yourself like at that destination?
Yeah, like whenever I'm like on Pinterest or something or like on our
that's
next
everyone
like,
on Pinterest. That's why I don't go to Pinterest.
Yeah, I just like look at things and I'm like, oh, that would be so cool. And then like we could do this excursion and like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like weird like fantasies that I've had though, like in relationships or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not maybe like when I was like not in a relationship, I think like maybe I had more like thoughts about stuff like that. I don't know.
I used to want to be attacked by someone.
Attacked?
Yeah, like assaulted.
Like Katniss from Hunger Games?
Not a cat. Attacked. Like I would want someone to attack me, like a girl.
Maybe I could get like one of those like bow and arrow things and like.
Not like literally. Like I don't want to be hurt. Like physically, I think like attacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, like assaulted, but like a really hot girl.
Yeah.
Not like dominatrix, because like when you think of dominatrix, you think of like a girl in a leather suit that's like whipping you. Like I don't want to be hurt, but I just think it'd like be cool to be attacked.
Yeah. You still want me to attack you? Because I can try it.
This is like weird. I'll just tell you. I don't feel that way anymore. But I remember at a time I wanted to be attacked by like a girl.
Yeah.
I thought like it'd be hot.
Would it be like a tall girl, like taller than you?
No. That's what would make it hot. But she somehow like got me anyways. Like
It's like I've never seen the movie, but like Laura Croft, like that.
Yeah, that's the perfect one.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want Angelina Jolie to attack them, and then like somehow during like the confrontation, like she kind of gets like maybe she trips me with like a judo trip, like like a weird takedown, and then like she's wrestling me, and maybe she gets an elbow or something, and then I roll her over, but I'm a dude, so I don't want to hurt her, so I'm like, cut it out, and she pops me in the nose, and I fall over, and she ends up on top, like pinning me down. And then, like, she realizes she can't beat me. Like, somehow she stops. And then, like
kind of like Lion King.
And then stuff happens after that.
That reminds me of Lion King, Nala, and Simba.
Yeah. Why did you have to bring animals into this shit?
Whenever you're describing it, that's pretty much what I was picturing.
Yeah, you're so innocent. I was picturing Tomb Raider. No, I remember a time where I thought that would be cool. Almost like a UFC fighter, maybe. Or someone that's like, but I wouldn't want to get hurt at the end of it. I'd want it to start off aggressive and then like just be like,
yeah, I feel like you don't like to roughhouse very much, so I can't see you like enjoying that.
I hate roughhousing in general. I think it's annoying.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I grew up in a place where you had to kind of like be tough. Mm-hmm. And so when someone's being tough for fun, it's just like there's no line there for me. It's like peace or be tough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is now, but like there was a time where it wasn't, and I was just like, I hated it. Like I hated being roughhouse. There's a kid that used to slap me in the back of my head in my freshman year at Cruces High. he would smack me in the back of my head, and then I would turn around, and he would pretend like it wasn't him, but there's only one person in the chair behind me, and his friends would laugh. And then as soon as I would turn forward, he'd hit me again. And like I was just like, oh, he did like 5 times one day.
Really?
And everyone was laughing, and I was like, this fucking kid. And as soon as we got into the hallway, I beat him up with one hand. And this isn't like impressive or anything. I was holding my binder. Remember when everyone used to carry binders around in high school? I was carrying my binder, and he hit me again in the hallway. And I turned around, and I started punching him like over and over with one hand. And there was tile. Like the hallways at Chris's High, there's the one where like the hallway was made out of tile. Yeah. And like I started like punching him into the tile. I beat him up pretty bad. And like to the point where it was like in between periods, like people were walking to their next class.
Yeah.
So everyone was like, oh shit, like I fucked him up pretty bad. These girls, it was weird because you would think it'd make you look cool, but they looked scared. Like people looked scared of me. His friends looked scared. The girls some of them were pretty girls that I liked looked scared. Even I, like if there was a mirror and I saw myself, I think even I would be like, fuck. It was a weird moment where I'd had enough.
Like you just kind of snapped.
It was like snapped, like, and I didn't hurt him. Like, I mean, he did bleed. Like, like I did hit him. Like I literally physically hurt him. Yeah. But he was fine. He got up, like, kind of like he deserved it. You know what I mean? He was like, "What the fuck, bro?" And like ran off, like he had blood coming down his eye. Nothing ever happened, so I'm assuming he just went home, like he didn't tattle. But like it was just annoying. You know what I mean? I forgot why I'm telling this story.
Because you were talking about Laura Croft.
Yeah, being dominated. Maybe that's my my thing. Maybe I want a girl to like bully me, like slap my head. I'm like, stop it.
But I've tried to roughhouse with you and you don't like it.
Oh, that's why this story started. That was the real reason. It was roughhousing. I hated that he was doing that. Yeah. Because I felt like if you're gonna do that, you better be ready to fight me, and he wasn't. And so I was like, what was the point? Like, what were you doing? Just to be tough in front of your friends? Yeah. Like, so I never understood that. So I don't like roughhousing at all.
Yeah, I know that about you. I can't roughhouse with you. So it's either like complete, like kick your ass kind of thing, or nothing at all.
If you beat me up, I'm cool with that. Like, first of all, I don't think this would ever happen again, right? I'm not in that frame of mind. But going back to when I was, there's something respectful about someone that can beat you up. Maybe this is more common with men than it is with women. You've been in a few fights. Maybe you can tell me what it's like on the women's side. But as a guy, if there's someone talking shit to you and you're not a shit talker, you kind of just deal with it at first. You go, damn it, he got me. If there's someone that's witty, like, you know what I mean, that's really funny and quick and just uses something against you, like fast, and like everyone's laughing, part of you goes like, damn, he got me, and you're cool. Yeah. Part of it gets to a point where you realize it's going to be physical or there's going to be a fight. If you are okay with the fight, not even if you started it, but if you're okay with the fight and lose, there's something respectful about it. Like, he got me. He was the better person. On both sides. Like, as the bully, sometimes when you fight, like, you just fight, the bully goes like, hey, I respect that you even fought me. Even if they won. Even if they beat you up. And you just move on. Like, as men, you kind of do that sometimes. Yeah. Not always. But it's like a weird thing where it's like, but I think some people aren't ready to go there. And they think they are. Because it's scary. If you act scary, you can get out of a lot of fights. For sure. For sure. And I don't mean in a bad way. But if someone's starting shit with me and I get scared, they know that and they keep fucking with me. Yeah. But if someone's starting shit with me and I'm like, fuck you, man. Like, I'll fuck you up right now. And I smash a bottle and fucking like pull my hair, you know what I mean? Or if I had, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what's up? Like, they're going to like, hey, like, I've just minimized the chances of being in a fight by like 90%. Yeah. Maybe he's just crazy, right? And we fight anyways. Yeah. But usually something clicks and you can see it in their eyes and they don't want to fight anymore. Yeah. So acting tough and acting crazy can help. It can help you a lot of times. Specifically in that case, it will. Yeah. Or vice versa. If you're scared, act tough. And if the other person's more scared, you go, oh, I got him. Yeah. And you win. And everyone viewing will view that guy, oh, he was scared. Even if we never fought. If me and a dude were talking shit to each other and I scared him, I won that fight. Yeah. In everyone's minds. If they would have fought, Will would have fucked him up because he looked scared. Yeah. And that's just the way it goes in the man world. And so you can get away with a lot. But the downfall is every now and then the person can fight. Yeah. Or isn't scared of you. And they win the fight. And then you look like a bully that got beat up. And people love that shit. It's fun. I don't know about you. I love that. Watching it on YouTube, like a bully like picking on a kid and the kid like body slams him. Oh, yeah. Woo! Like, oh, I love that. I'm like, get him. Like, fuck that dude. Like, everyone else feels the same way. Yeah. And it's cool to beat up a bully.
Yeah,
And
it
so
definitely is.
those people get super duper humbled, and
And then they change usually.
What is the dynamic with women? Like if it's like there's beef or if there's a fight or a potential fight, like what's the dynamic like between women?
I think that most girls avoid getting physical. I feel like it's usually more of like either manipulation or it's more of like talking, like gossip or like rumors or things like that. And then I think if it gets to that point, which I think is pretty rare, then I feel it's kind of like that same dynamic. Like whoever's kind of scared will like usually back down. Or if you end up fighting, then I think like the girl fights that I have seen, like it gets pretty crazy because they just like they don't really know how to fight.
Why do girls pull each other's hair? Why is that a thing?
I think it's just like your adrenaline maybe like kind of like jumps in, and like most girls don't know how to punch very well. And so I feel like you just try to do whatever you can, like kicking, pulling, biting, scratching. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if it's a girl that knows how, like is trained to box or knows how to like punch, then that would be something different. But most girls don't know how to do that.
I feel like there's a benefit to pulling hair, right? Like thinking, like breaking down the logistics of fighting.
Yeah.
Control. If you grab someone's hair, you can control them, right?
Yeah.
But then you have to do something with that control. You don't see a lot. I think it would be smart if women, first of all, you shouldn't pull hair, right? Because it never ends well. But if you need control, you would think a girl would grab someone by the hair and then start hitting her, which I have seen in some fights, like online. Yeah. And those girls totally win the fight. It's an easy way to win because no one thinks about that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and
but
then you
girls
see these.
Don't really know how to punch that well.
You don't have. Do you realize that? I think it takes like 5 pounds of pressure to break someone's nose. Did you know that? Mm-mm. Like if you hit someone, which is why you don't, as boxers and stuff like that, like you don't want to take a straight punch to the nose. You don't. Mm-hmm. You can get punched to the side. You really don't want to take a punch to the nose at all. It hurts. Yeah. You ever like bumped your nose a little bit and you feel like this thing real quick? It doesn't take a lot of pressure to break this bone. And so it doesn't matter if you can punch. If you can grab someone's hair, I think a lot of women grab hair and pull it and that's it. I think sometimes they throw punches, but like if someone could grab someone's hair and then just start hitting them with the other hand, or if they're left-handed the other way, that girl would win every fight.
Yeah.
Because you're controlling, you can literally just hold them in place if you get close enough to the scalp. You can know exactly how to punch them. But I think it never happens. I don't see that anymore, but in high school there was always girl fights.
Yeah.
It always ends up on the ground, which most fights do, right?
Yeah.
But then it's just pulling of hairs. Like it's just, there isn't a lot of, and the worst one is sometimes girls that punch will punch the head. Do you realize that you can break your hand on someone's skull? Punching someone in the skull is not smart. You've watched UFC fights with me? How many people are punching people in the skull? Like literally like putting them on the ground and like, you literally can't even elbow or punch to the back of the head because there's reasons, right?
Yeah.
But they're like, you don't, like you face punches, front of the face, maybe the temple, right? You can mess someone's equilibrium up.
Yeah.
But like there's a lot of times where I see girls just like punching the top of their head. I'm like, you're gonna break your hand. Like the skull is hard as shit, specifically this part. Like because our brain's there, it's super hard.
Yeah.
Like that's not smart. Like you gotta go for the jaw or the nose or the eyes or the face or the temple. You really want, when people get knocked out, it's the snap. So when you see UFC knockouts or boxing knockouts, sometimes it doesn't look like someone gets hit really hard and they get wobbled, but every now and then you'll see one where they clip the chin. You ever hear the term like they got a glass jaw?
Yeah. When
you clip the chin, there's a quick pop, like there's a turn, and it's with the spine, it's with the neck, and it kind of just shuts your lights off. It's just, they call it hitting them on the button, right? So you hit someone clean on the button, but it's the quick pop is what knocks people out. So it looks sometimes like if you watch it in real time, he didn't hit him that hard, but he hit him just right to turn his head enough. Yeah. Because if I punch you right here, it still hurts.
Yeah.
But you can absorb that a little bit better.
Yeah.
But if I hit you right on the chin and it gets that little pop, like your lights are just shut out.
Yeah.
So it's weird, like how that works, right?
Yeah.
When you start breaking down the dynamics of a fight, it can get pretty intense. But I think, not that I'm encouraging people to fight, but if you're fighting, and hopefully it's for a good cause, right? Because you're protecting yourself or your family, you gotta stop pulling hair, and that's it. If you're gonna pull the hair, do something with it and put yourself in a position to like knock someone out or get a chokehold in or something.
Yeah.
I think that's important for anyone to know, specifically women, because if you're getting attacked by a male,
Yeah.
it's intimidating, right? And I would never encourage that. Like, I would never encourage, obviously, we don't encourage domestic violence, but I'm not saying this so people can feel comfortable, so women can feel comfortable fighting males. You shouldn't have to.
Right.
You just shouldn't be in that position. But if you were put in that position, don't you think it would be good to know some moves? Because you can definitely beat up a guy. Any man in the world that says women can't beat up men is fucking stupid. Women can for sure beat up men. A lot. In a lot of different ways. And not just these UFC fighters, not just trained people. You can take someone out. Because no matter how buff you get, there's no muscle in your eyes. There's not a lot of muscles right here in the neck. You can choke out anyone. No matter how much I work out, even if I work out my traps or my neck muscles, there's never going to be any muscles right here. You can choke me out. Mm-hmm. You can punch me in my balls. You know what I mean? Like, there's things you could do to hurt me. And pulling my hair, which wouldn't work because I don't have any.
Your beard.
Or like just throwing wild, that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't work.
Yeah. I've always wanted to do like a what is it? Self-defense classes.
I wouldn't even do, I hate self-defense classes because, actually I shouldn't say that, because self-defense a lot of times is about building up confidence. But if you really want to like defend yourself in a real world situation, like I wouldn't even suggest boxing. I think I would suggest like a jiu-jitsu or some form of like grabs, manipulations of your position, because positioning has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And confidence is part of it, right? So I think self-defense would be good. But I think confidence is what feels good. I am not the greatest fighter. Like, you know what I mean? I like talking about fighting because I'm a fan of watching it. I know things from what I hear. And I did do fighting for a little bit. But even when I fought, I wasn't the greatest fighter. But I'm a bigger guy. I'm a male. Like, there's certain things in my favor that when I walk around, I feel safe.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I want everyone to feel that way. Because I feel safe in the sense that I don't constantly worry about people attacking me. You know what I mean? Not that I want that, or, you know what I mean? But like, it feels good to like, so there's sometimes like, it didn't cross my mind that I was going to be attacked. But for a lot of people, men and women, you know what I mean? For both, there's a lot of people in the world that walk into rooms or situations and there's this weird feeling that like you could be attacked, or if something did attack you, you wouldn't be okay with it. And that anxiety is what makes people freak out in situations where things go down.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like I've never really had that anxiety of like worrying that like somebody was going to attack me. Like,
ever? Like, you never been to a place where you felt unsafe? You know what's funny? I think that feeling's important because I felt that way about a friend of ours that's way smaller than me, but acts wild. Does a lot of coke, breaks bottles, you know what I mean? Just kind of acts weird. That feeling is real, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about a intimidating, bigger, like I'm physiologically bigger than this person. There's something about someone acting wild that makes you feel like things could go down and you feel unsafe. And I think that feeling's super important. You have to feel that way. It's like the thing where it happens a lot with guys. I don't know if girls do this, but it's like you did the fucking thing where you're like, and then if they flinch, you're like, you're a bitch, you flinched. And the guy's always like, yeah, I did. I fucking suck. There's a weird thing with that. Like, guys, like, made you flinch, loser.
Is it like testing?
Yeah, but it's like, I punked you. I punked you. Is what it is. But in reality, like, you're supposed to flinch. If someone's throwing a punch at you or pretending to throw a punch at you, and your reaction is to stand there and do nothing, what if it wasn't a test? What if they're really punching you? You should flinch. You should defense. You should think about these things. The point that I'm making is you should, when people are acting crazy, regardless of your skill set or regardless of your physical build, you should feel defensive or alert or aware, or the feeling of like, I need to be more, like, I need to pay attention to what's going on right now. This person seems dangerous. It could save your fucking life. Like, it really can. Don't you think so?
Yeah. I mean, I think I felt it like in situations where things like with people, but I mean like in general, like if I go out, like I don't think like, oh, I'm walking in this alley, like something could happen to me, or hey, I'm going to this club. Well, that makes sense
because like, there's no imminent threat. There's nothing in front of you.
Yeah. But like I've felt like when I'm around certain people that I felt like, okay, like something could go wrong tonight, or like it's usually just a feeling that I get.
I felt it a bunch of times. You've been there with me a few times where I was like, babe, we got to go. And you're like, why? And I'm like, this dude just showed up. I know him. Shit's going to get crazy. There's one time, and we won't say his name, but we went to a club, and this guy showed up, and I'm like, babe, we got to go. And you're like, why? You're having fun. And I was like, babe, trust me. I know this guy. Not even if I didn't know him the way he was when I saw him, I knew something bad was going to happen. And as someone that's assessing danger at all times, that's the way my mind works. I'm like, we got to get out of here. And then the next day we find out that club got shot at. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not like a mind reader. I didn't just guess that. I assessed the danger and I realized maybe nothing happens. Maybe nothing. Maybe we go home and we don't hear that story. But the fact that we did, I was like, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
And so that feeling's good. That feeling is good. You should feel aware, but you shouldn't be paranoid is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
If I'm just walking down a street, like in the middle of a metropolitan area, or I'm just going to a store, like I shouldn't feel in danger.
Yeah.
But if I'm in an alley at night and there's 5 dudes at the end of it with 40s in a brown bag smoking weed with tattoos on their face and pistols bulging out of the side they can see out of their shirts, that should make me feel worried and I should not keep walking, right?
Yeah.
There's always this thing where you have an intuition. The most common thing, not the most, but one of the common things that people say when those things happen is, I knew it. Do you remember the movie Crash? Where the 2 dudes rob Sandra Bullock and her husband and they get into a fight at the house. And she's like, I fucking knew. I knew they were going to attack me. I knew it. And you didn't do anything and I didn't do anything. And 10 seconds later, I had a gun pointed in my face. Like that whole scene.
Yeah.
And she was a little racist in that scene, right? So I'm not saying that what she said was perfect. But the concept is, which is she knew there was danger, but felt it would be silly to act on it.
Yeah.
And so she did it. And the next thing you know, she had a gun in her face. That feeling is real. And I think we get that all the time. We walk into places or see things, but we go like, hey, if I just start acting like I'm scared or saying things to people and it turns out to be nothing, then I'm the weirdo. So our brains do this weird thing where we'd rather not be the weirdo and we'd rather push ourselves through danger.
Yeah.
And it's weird when it comes to socially acceptable things. I was watching Joe Rogan's podcast today, and he was talking about how he went to the supermarket to get groceries, and he saw someone, which is weird. You wouldn't think celebrities go to the store, but he's saying that he saw someone, and they're like, Joe Rogan, and like put out his hand to shake his hand, and Joe Rogan was saying like, I knew because of COVID. He was like, I shouldn't shake his hand, but of course I shake his hand. Like he felt weird her telling him no. He risking his life. He was admitting that. Yeah. Like, dude, I could get myself sick. I can get my family sick, but you don't think about all that. But you know you shouldn't be shaking hands, but then you feel guilty. It's a fan. And he's like, I shook his hand, dude. And I can't stop. Like, I'm realizing that's just part of life. Yeah. And so what he's saying is true. We all have that feeling, I shouldn't be doing this. And we don't always listen to it. And my point is we should start listening to it a little bit, because you would much rather be the weird guy that hurt someone's feelings and acted awkward than to be the guy that gets sick or gets his family sick or whatever the instance is. And if you feel like there's danger and you don't act on it and something bad happens, then you're always going to live in regret, like you could have honored that feeling.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like for me, like that's something I've worked on too, because I feel like there's times where I have done that, where I've like not felt comfortable with something, but then I just kind of don't want to be rude, or like I don't want to like hurt anybody's feelings. And so then I just go with it. And then afterwards I'm like, why did I do that? Like I shouldn't have like allowed that or something, you know? And specifically like even before like COVID, but like usually with like situations where I know that somebody was sick. And then like I let them like hug me or like, you know, things like that. And then end up like kissing my cheek or something. And then I'm like, oh, like, you know, it's just like a weird thing, but I'm trying to kind of like be more aware of like what feels comfortable for me and like just honoring that and just saying like, okay, like, yeah, I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, but like at the same time, like I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm not safe.
Yeah, it's weird how you have to like, it's a weird balance, right? Because you feel weird either way. I always admire the person that can do it. And we've all done it. And we've all been the person that's like, damn it, I should have done something. I should have done more. Like I should have spoke up. But it really just takes one person in a group. If it's a group setting, it just takes one. And the other people usually follow. And that's a good thing. We always clown on those people like they're followers. Or like, you know what I mean? It took one brave person, like you're the bitch. But that's not true. Sometimes it takes one really brave person to remind you that you're also brave, to remind everyone else. And then you guys all come together as human species and agree and protect someone. If you saw a lady getting beat up, or not even beat up, if you saw a lady and someone was being rude and you stopped, or someone was like maybe it looks aggressive. Maybe it's a girl in a parking lot of a Walmart and he's like, what the fuck, bitch? You know what I mean? And he hasn't done anything yet, but you're like, damn, you shouldn't be talking to her like that. So you just watch and you wait. But should you be waiting? What are we waiting for? For him to punch her? And even if that happened, do you mind your business because he's scary or bigger than you? And you're not the only one watching. Sometimes there's other people watching, right?
Yeah.
So in this situation, you're in a Walmart parking lot that's happening. Maybe 3 other people are watching, right? And you're watching, and you know you should do something, but something's telling you, wait, just wait. Maybe I don't understand everything here. This happens so fast. Maybe this is their dynamic. Maybe I don't know what I should do here. But then one guy goes, hey, man, you can't do that. What are you doing? And starts walking. And you, as the second person, goes, I'm going to help that guy out. Hey, yeah, what are you doing? And then the third guy comes. And that's a really great situation for that woman, right?
Yeah.
And they all come together. My point is that, like, the world needs that first brave guy or girl, whoever it is, person. They need the first brave person to step up and do stuff. But if you're around that brave person, support them. That doesn't make you any lower. You know what I mean? It does not. Because we all have our opportunities, and we'll have several of them in our lives. And I think that it's okay and human to wait and then eventually do something. You don't have to be the initiator. And we're not all genetically predisposed to be that person.
Yeah.
But if someone is and you can back them up, do it. And you guys are all wonderful for doing that.
Yeah, I think so. I think I always think it's like fascinating what, how much intuition people have, even if they don't call it intuition. Or
like we
believe.
kind of know, huh?
Yeah, like even though it's like being intuitive, people are like, oh, well, like psychic or intuition. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like people like relate those two things together, but I think that like we all have intuition and we all know when something like feels right and when something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it's interesting how many people don't really like, how do I say it? Like cultivate that side of them.
Yeah. But I don't know what would.
I feel like with you, like you're not a very like spiritual person per se, or like religious or anything like that. But you're one of the people that I know in my life that is just intuitive. Like I can't explain it. Like I just feel like you just know things, but I don't know if it's because like you assess situations but it's sometimes just a feeling with you. Like you just kind of know like, hey, it's not right to make this move right now. Like, like if we're making a decision like as a couple, mm-hmm. like I feel like you're usually like pretty, like I feel like I can trust your like intuition about what you think is right for us to do, what move is right, basically.
I think that I don't always know. Like I think everyone knows, I guess is my point. We all have that feeling, right?
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example so people that are listening can understand this, right? Men will specifically understand this, right? There's something that you want to buy and you don't need it. And I've talked about this with you recently about something specific. But we'll use something random like a video game, which right now any video game is at least $50, right? If it's new, it's $50. $59.99, $60 with tax is $65. It's kind of a big purchase.
Yeah.
Depending on how much money you make, is a big purchase. But it's a game. It's a game that I really want. I think we all know we shouldn't buy that game. Maybe you should, right? And there's instances where you should. But I'm specifically talking to someone that can relate to a situation where it's like, I don't have a lot of money left, but I definitely have enough to buy this game. Yeah. It's going to be tight. I shouldn't get it. I think we all have that feeling that we shouldn't, but we just do it anyways because we go, well, I'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. And at least while I'm figuring it out, I get to play this fucking game that I love and I think is going to be awesome, right? So I think with me, I don't think that's different. I don't think I'm special in that way. I think we all feel that. But with me, I take the extra minute, which I think if we all did, we'd get there. Because I also feel that. I also go like, this, I love it, and this is awesome, and it feels good, and like, and you purposely block out all the things that you know are bad about it.
Yeah.
And you just focus on the good things. I could play it. I could play it when I'm alone. I could play it with my friends. It could be my stress reliever. I could be excited. I can create a character in the game. I could do this. All these things.
Yeah.
But you don't think about the money it takes away from you. It's there. It's in your head. But you don't, and you convince yourself, I'm doing it. And it's the right thing to do. And with me, and I fall into that too, and I'm not perfect, but a lot of times I do analyze both sides, and I'll go like, well, do I need to? Do I really need to? Can I? And I prioritize it. And sometimes I still do it, but if the good stuff, I do ask the extra questions for that extra minute. And if all that stuff still outweighs the bad part, then I will do it. But usually if you take that extra time and consideration, you can kind of figure out that this isn't really necessary.
Yeah.
And you can kind of like understand what it's like to dream and what it's like to really, really want something, and understand that like you could still really, really want something. It just doesn't have to happen right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because there's this golden window that opened and there's this bright light and it's there, you just got to grab it. Yeah, there's some bad stuff, but we'll worry about that later. Just reach out. Just reach out. It's right there. Just grab it. It's yours. So easy just to do it.
Yeah.
But then you hold it and you realize the door closes and all the bad stuff got in with it. When you turn it over, there's all the stuff. There's the money. There's the stress. There's the taking away. If you buy a game, that's money you're not. If you have kids, that's money you're not spending on your kids. If you have a girlfriend, it's money you're not spending on your girlfriend. If you have family that's sick, it's money you're not spending on helping your sick family member. There's tons of things that come on later on that you kind of knew was there, but you chose just to see the good parts. Yeah. And now you put the game in, and the game's not as fun as you thought it was. It's fun, but I'm bored of it in a week. And now I realize I shouldn't have done it. And so when you yell at me for buying it, I can kind of agree with you, and I feel shameful, which leads to depression. And so, you know what I mean? There's like a weird chain of events there.
Yeah.
But I think with me, and I appreciate you giving me credit for that, I don't think I'm special at all in that way. I think that I just take the extra minute. And it heightens my chances of getting it. I could still get it wrong taking that extra minute.
Yeah.
But take the time to think about it. And I think when you appreciate your core values, your Maslow's hierarchy, like your basic needs, when you really, really, really appreciate those things, the other stuff is just luxuries. When you understand that you could be homeless. And people that work in industries like me and you, we see that all the time. And you go, when you're not, then you kind of like take it for granted, right? As someone who used to be homeless, I've had moments where I take that for granted. Yeah. But when I work with people, it's a constant reminder, and I go, why am I trying to figure out if I want the name brand shirt or the Walmart shirt when there's some people out there that don't have shirts, right? And you should want more. I'm not saying to not care about stuff, but it really makes you humble when you go, I have my basic needs met. I could really prioritize a home over my head, healthy relationships, which is probably the second step of the hierarchy, right? The first one is, do I have running water? Do I have a warm place to sleep? Do I have like things to survive? Do I have medical coverage? Do I have healthy food? Those are like, do I have food at all? Like, do I have water? Like, do I have these things? When you really dive into those things, I think that you really find a place where the extra stuff truly is that extra, and you appreciate them. And you don't have to get every game, and you don't have to buy every new handbag, and whatever people are listening, whatever your thing is, do it half as much, and you might enjoy it twice as much. You know what I mean? You find a newfound respect for it, and I think that you really make better decisions more often when you can take that step. Yeah,
I think so too. I feel like for me personally, like hearing you talk about like possessions or, you know, things that like, I think that's a balance for me also. Trying to figure out like, because I do like certain things, right? But then I think that like at a young age, I was working really hard, and like I started to get a lot of the things that I wanted. Like I always wanted a Mercedes, so I got a Mercedes. And then like, I think that right there was like one of the things, like, well, once you get it, like, do you really feel any different? Like, is your life? No, like I didn't. And like, even to this day, like when it's like something that I want, like, and I try to be like, really, it's hard because I get kind of like if it's like a ring or something that I really want, like I want it. But then like after a while, like I'm just like, okay, like it's cool, but like I don't really like, I don't have that same excitement about it, right? Like it kind of fades. So I'm really trying to like focus on things that like feel good for me, that like make me feel like I'm getting some type of experience out of it, right? Like I would much rather spend money on a vacation because like those memories like I like really hold close to me, and like I love to like look back at the pictures and just like think about how it felt and just like see.
Do you get the same feeling? Like compare going on a trip to the, obviously you said the Mercedes thing died off and you kind of didn't really like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm sure the moment you drove off the lot, it felt pretty fucking good, right?
Yeah.
And so compare that initial moment to a vacation. Would you say it's pretty similar, different?
I feel like the vacation is like more of, or I think I just like experiencing things, like meeting new people, cultures, things like that. So it feels to me like more, like comparing the two, like getting like my dream car or whatever was like, wow, like I've made it in some way, or I've like accomplished this, but then it didn't have like a feeling that felt like I felt good about it, right? If that makes sense. Like I didn't feel like I was getting anything out of it emotionally necessarily. I wasn't a better person because of it. I was just the same person in just a car, right? Whereas a vacation, like if I met somebody or like if I experienced something with you, then it was just like, oh wow, like I challenged myself. Like our last vacation, like when we went snorkeling and we did all of that, like that to me was like so meaningful. Like I just felt like I challenged myself, like I experienced something, like this is what life is about. Like that, it's like a more meaningful feeling than having my dream car and sitting in a car. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like an empty feeling, but like at the same time it's exciting because you like always wanted that, or like it's like an accomplishment.
What if you could remember it though, like that moment? I don't think we always remember the moments, right? Like almost like literally a trophy, right? And I'm not metaphoric, literally an actual trophy. It doesn't feel that good after a while. Do you have any trophies? Have you ever won anything in your life? Like competition wise, cheerleading, anything?
Yeah.
They're cool. Trust me. I did Kempo. Me and Colin did when we were younger, right? This is before I did MMA. We did Kempo, and I trained my ass off for a fight with Colin, my brother. We fought like we were the only two people from like we fought each other. We trained at the same gym.
Wait, was it kind of like martial arts?
Yeah, Kempo. It's a form of karate. Yeah. Okay. And so we were wearing gis and we had headgear because we were kids, but we fought each other. And we had the longest round out of anyone because we kept blocking each other's punches and stuff. And so anyways, we fought each other in the last rounds. Colin ended up winning. He scored one more point than me in like minute 5. So, which is a long time fighting as kids. 5 whole minutes is a lot. Yeah. Like street fights don't last 5 minutes. And I got second place and he got first. But we still got first and second, you know what I mean? And it felt good to get second place. And I had that trophy and it felt good. It brought me like, I was like, oh, it made me like, it was humbling because I'm like, hey, I can get better and beat my brother.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But it also made me feel like I got second place. Like it's pretty good. Like there's a lot of people here. People came from all over the state, different places for this competition. And I felt really good about it, but it dies off. It's just a trophy that sits there. Right. I have trophies from basketball in high school for different things. And they just sit there. They were so important in the moment because you're getting recognized and emotionally it means a lot. Right. But after a while, it does die down. The same way that your Mercedes meant a lot to get it because it was a sign of accomplishment. You worked hard for it, you earned it, but it does fade. A possible solution for people, what if we remembered what it was like? It doesn't mean you don't have to keep it, but I don't think as human beings, we spend a lot of times remembering what it took to get there. Like, damn, I remember the feeling of getting that award. I remember the feeling of buying that car. I remember what it took to get to there, and I'll always have that, even if I sell the car or my trophies break or it burns in a house fire, whatever happens, right? I'll have those memories, and I think those things are important for accomplishments-wise, right? To actually enjoy it, which is proof, going back to our original point, that the money you spend on stuff doesn't matter. The memories do. The trip does, because you remember. You don't have a trip. I can't look over at the shelf and see our trip to Hawaii, right? But I remember what it was like. I remember driving. I remember like all the stuff we saw and did. It was fun. Those memories will live with me forever. Forever. But the memories of that moment when you bought your Mercedes doesn't. And it should. And it should. The memories that I have of winning that second place trophy, you know what I mean? It should. Those things should matter. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I don't need the physical trophy anymore, but I have the memories. And so I agree with you 100%. Use your money to make memories. And if it's on something physical, right? Like these mics. I spent money on these mics, but these are memories. I'm always going to remember doing these podcasts. I'm always going to remember the music I made with them. I'm going to remember these moments with you, right?
Yeah.
I'm investing in something that's going to bring me memories. You know what I mean? Memories are important. These are experiences. And when you're older, they go away. People lose their memories when they get older, right?
Yeah.
Some people faster than others. Some people don't lose them at all.
Yeah.
But you want to have memories, right? Yeah. Like you want to have some stuff stored up. You want to have moments and you want to have feelings and you want to have joy and you want to have pain and you want to have happiness, and you want to have sadness. You want to feel what it's like to be lost in the world. You want to feel what it's like to lose a friend. You want to feel what it's like to make a friend. You want to feel what it's like to have the best friend in the world and to have a shitty friend. You want to know what it's like to be in a relationship, to get married, to have children, to have animals that pass away and then give birth, and then you have a puppy, and then maybe you don't. Maybe you move. Maybe your house burns down. Maybe you build a house one day. These are all memories, and you want to have tons in the bank, because the older you get, the less you remember them, the less they're there. But if you have a lot of them, I have a feeling, this is my theory, and I know I've been ranting for a while, I'm sorry. I have a theory, as human beings, if we make memories, if we make joyful moments, if we make the best of our time, we experience life, and we have tons of stories.
Yeah.
That helps our brain stay healthy. It's exercise for your brain. It's going to the gym for your brain.
Yeah.
And when you're an older person, have you met an older person? I'm sure you have. That's just on it.
Yeah.
And you're like, God, I want to be like that. That person lived a life. I guarantee you. They lived a life. Look at your old boss. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He has stories. He lived a life. He's been to places. He's done things.
Yeah.
And the older he gets, those stories are going to be just as awesome. And
Yeah.
I think he exercised the fuck out of his brain. And now he's an older person. He's not even that old. But when he is super duper old, he's going to have all those things because he spent his life making memories and using his brain. And so that's my theory. I want to make sure I make memories and meet people and do all these things. And I think that will cause me to have a healthier brain as an older person.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that it's like the connections with people. Like, I know that me and you have always, like, for some reason, we've always met, like, a couple or, like, some friends, like, on our trip. And,
like, on a cruise.
Yeah. And then, like, we have them on Facebook. And it's just, like, it's cool, like, to be like, hey, like, at one moment in time, we were all hanging out, like, having a great time. And, like, I can still see them and be like, hey, they're doing good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just, like, a really, like, meaningful feeling. Even if, like, I guess it's just, like, the feeling of meeting people that are completely different from you, that like grow up somewhere completely different than you are, or than you have, and then but being able to kind of like still connect in some way, you know? Like, I think there's something really special about that.
Do you think people need to push through the awkwardness of meeting someone so they can get to that point? Have you ever met a friend that you weren't friends with? Like, you maybe a coworker or someone you're kind of forced to be around because they're a friend of a friend?
Yeah.
And you're like, I would never be that person's friend.
Yeah.
And then you end up being really good friends with that person.
Yeah.
And you're like, God, I'm so glad. Like, I don't think I would have met you under any other circumstances.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did. Don't you think there's something to pushing through that uncomfortability, that like if you can get past some stuff, there's sometimes some really cool stuff there?
Yeah, there definitely is. I feel like when people are meeting people that are different than them, like, I see this all the time. Like, a lot of the time people get used to meeting people that are just like them, which is great, right? Because, you know, then it's kind of a reflection of you, and like you guys are kind of doing the same thing and all of that. But for me personally, and I don't know if it's just my personality, but I love meeting people that are different than me, because then I'm allowed to like understand, or I'm able to understand them and their experiences. And so I'm like growing.
Do you find joy in that?
Yeah, I do. And I think that like it doesn't feel uncomfortable for me to meet new people. But to answer your question, I think that it's important, if it did feel uncomfortable for me to meet new people, to push myself to
figure that out.
To figure that, like, why does it feel uncomfortable? Like, is it because I don't feel comfortable with somebody that's different than me because I'm afraid of something? Is it because I'm afraid of, is it a self-esteem thing where I feel like I'm not, like, interesting enough for this person? Or is it just that, like, there could be different things that are the reason why it feels uncomfortable, right? But for me personally, like, I feel like I'm able to meet people, and even though they're completely different than me in some ways, I'm able to find something that like is similar too.
Do you think that's easy, or do you think that you have to kind of push yourself to find those things?
It's natural for me. Like, I feel like if I meet somebody like like if I were to meet somebody that is like maybe say completely different, older, like super young or something, and like I feel like I would find like, not that I'm searching, I just naturally find something that I like about them. Maybe it's just that I like about them, and then I'm interested in them, or like I care about them as a person or something.
Yeah.
And so then it's natural to me. It's not like I'm like I don't think I've ever had a friend, or even like your friends like that have like girlfriends or whatever.
Yeah.
I've never felt like I have to figure out a way to get along with this person, or I have to figure out something that I like about this person. Like
you feel like you can kind of always find something regardless.
Yeah, like it's just natural to do that, right?
I could see that with you, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that people deserve to be understood, or at least attempted to be understood. And I think we owe people that. We owe people that time to try to get to know them. But I'm weird about it, because I think I've met so many different people in my life that I understand that there's kind of something to like about everyone.
Yeah.
People have their no's, and they have their like, most of it's related to trauma. Like if you had an aggressive dad that had a ponytail, you don't want to meet people that have ponytails. And that sounds silly, but you ever see a man with a ponytail, you're like, fuck that guy. Like it's normal. To us, it sounds silly. Like how dare you like judge someone off? But it's traumatic to them. And so they cut out everyone with ponytails. But how many awesome people have ponytails?
Yeah.
Someone with a ponytail is watching this podcast right now. Like me, I'm an awesome guy with a ponytail. The reality of it is there's awesome people. And I'm just using it as an example. You have to kind of push through that. I think identifying what your things are and just kind of like understanding like, hey, this is a thing. This is a thing. I have X, Y, and Z. It's identifying your vices, right? If you're someone in recovery from drugs or alcohol, it's exactly what you do. Yeah. You don't just go, I'm just going to avoid bars. If you're an alcoholic, you don't go, I'm going to avoid bars. You have to really look into it. Well, what really offends me? Why did I start drinking in the first place? Because maybe bars don't make me want to drink. Maybe it's aggressive men because my dad was mean to me. And so when a man get aggressive, it triggers me to want to drink. Yeah. Whatever. I'm just making this stuff up.
Yeah.
But that's a real thing. And if you don't identify that, you spend your whole life avoiding bars, and maybe there's really cool people at bars. And trust me, there's plenty of alcoholics that are in recovery that go to bars and they feel comfortable. There's plenty that don't.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is you never want to pull an option from the table that could lead you to meeting someone, something, some person that could lead to something great.
Yeah.
But if you don't identify what your thing is, you're cutting off unnecessary things. Can you imagine an electrician that comes to your home and is like, we're just going to cut all these cords?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them's faulty. So I'm just going to cut them all. Just because. We're going to replace all of them too. Don't worry. You're like, what? Like you can't like isolate this. You know what I mean? You can't figure out where the bad stuff's coming from to save all the good stuff. You know what I mean? And can we just fix the one thing? Yeah. But you're never going to get to that point if you're not even trying to ask questions or figure it out. You got to figure out, what are my triggers? What are my vices? What are the things that upset me? And are those things blocking me from meeting people? What things hurt my feelings? What things could I work on? Because maybe I'm missing out on some awesome people that are only just triggering me. They're really great people. And they're really awesome. Yeah. And it's me. Yeah. And I don't want to be 80 and figure that shit out. I want to be now. I want to figure it out now. And so I think that's important for people to realize, like you decide who's around you. If your life isn't so good, you're making some choices that aren't great. I promise you. So as someone who's not had a great life because of choices that I was making that weren't so great, I make better choices, my life gets better. I mess up and make a bad one, my life gets a little worse. It's not the end of the world. You make some double time good ones and you get back on track. It's fine. Mm-hmm. But if you're stuck in this weird low kind of like feeling like shit about yourself, you know, like I'm out of shape and like I can't, like no one really wants to hang out with me. I made a joke the other day and no one laughed at it, and like I went out and I can't meet any girls, and like I come home and I'm eating food I hate, and you know what I mean, but I know like I just crave them, and then I want to get high, and so I start doing these drugs, you know what I mean, and then, that's how it is. Yeah. Just change one small thing. Like just try to do something different, and don't just change the surface level stuff. What makes me happy? What makes me happy that I could do more of? What scares me? Yeah. How do I get over these fears? Yeah. Because maybe these fears are crippling and I'm missing out on the world because of these fears.
Yeah, I think for me, for a while, like I could relate to that. Like with fears, I think that like growing up, there was like friends that I had that like weren't, like didn't have my best interest in mind, and like did some really hurtful things, and so I think that like
to you or
yeah,
like in general?
like to me, like spreading rumors or
Mm-hmm.
like lying or stealing or just things that are obviously not good. So like I think for me, I've always kind of like felt like, okay, I am able to connect with this person, but then if I foresee something in them that I can't trust, then I like kind of pull myself away a little bit. But I think now like I've kind of noticed that like acknowledging that like fear and kind of just like letting it go, and I think my beliefs have really helped. Like I know in the last podcast, like I've talked about like energy and like what you put out, you get back kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I kind of feel like whenever I'm not fearing it and when I'm just like focusing on the good things about people, yeah, they may still do things that are hurtful, but really it's like about them, right? Like, so if somebody like does something that like, I don't know, like hurts my feelings, like say they talk bad about me.
Yeah.
Behind my back or something. To my face, they're nice, but then like behind my back, they're like saying things about me. In reality, like I'm to a place in my life where I've evolved enough to think it's really them. You know what I mean? Whatever they're talking about, like about me. So say like, for instance, if somebody, for example, was like, yeah, I really don't like how Laura, I don't know, is lazy or something, right? It's really their insecurity about being lazy that is making them realize or think about how I'm lazy. You know what I'm saying? And so it's really not about me.
Is that always true? Or is it sometimes true? Because if I thought that you were lazy, which I don't, but let's say I did,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe some people do. I don't think it would be because I'm lazy. I think people do things because they're judgmental. I think people don't understand. And I think, and you might be right. My point is that maybe not always, right? Thinking about myself, there's things and times where I've done stuff, but the reality of it is I'm not really looking at all the facts. Mm-hmm. It's easy to call someone without a job lazy, and you have a job, so obviously I'm not referring to you.
Right.
But let's take the concept of someone that's lazy. If someone that doesn't have a job, what are some quick biases we can do? They're lazy. That's one of the first ones you would think of, right? But is it not possible that there's other things? You know what I mean? So is it weird that I think that person's lazy, or am I just uneducated? You know what I mean? And so my point is, and I don't mean like this isn't to be combative at all, right? Because I think that you're right a lot of the time. If someone's calling you lazy, maybe it's because they're lazy and they're projecting it. That happens all the time. That's for sure a thing. But maybe someone's calling you lazy because they don't know, because they haven't take the time to dive into the reasons. They were quick to see you in a situation and call you that, right? Yeah. Maybe it was because they saw you get up and come back and you didn't take a dish, right? And maybe in their head, in their house, they go like, well, every time we get up, we take the dishes away. She didn't do that. Should she not know it's there? Maybe she's lazy. Maybe they're thinking that. But that doesn't mean that she's lazy, because in her situation, in her head, whoever it is, they do take the dish. And so they're judging you because they don't know all the facts, and they think it's okay to put a label on someone quickly based off what they think they know. And so I think that happens a lot too, where people just quickly go, it must be that. You're a criminal, so you must be a bad person. They forget that sometimes innocent people go to jail. Do we dive into what someone did? Do we dissect stuff? As human beings, we make that mistake a lot. But I think it's important to look further. So it's not just people that are talking about themselves. And I say this as someone like, I'll use a perfect example for myself. I feel a certain way about my mom, but I'm not that way. So I'll give you that example. Like, I think my mom is not attentive, and I think that she's not loving, she's not like aware, and she doesn't put in effort. Mm-hmm. But I'm not any of those things. I'm all those things. I think that I do love, and I do put in effort, and I do care. Mm-hmm. And so I think that I'm not allowed, I shouldn't be judging anyone, right? But if in that case, I'm really doing it because I don't truly understand my mom. And I'm saying this objectively as someone who's biased, right? I'm admitting right now I'm biased. Mm-hmm. I think that. But you know what? If I really put in time and effort, I can probably figure out what happened to my mom when she was a kid for her to not be so attentive to me. Yeah. What trauma has she gone through that, you know what I mean? I could really dive in there, but I choose not to because I feel like it's not my responsibility as the son. But I'm relating as a human being that's quick to say something and feel something, but I don't think that I'm doing it because of me. I think I'm doing it because I don't know.
But I think like I think all of that is true, but the big picture, like, I think, like in your example about the dish, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that example, the person that is seeing somebody as being lazy for not putting back the dish
Mm-hmm.
means that that person would view themselves as being lazy if they had the opportunity to put back the dish and they didn't. Rather than somebody that's a little bit open-minded and has a different belief that, like, hey, sometimes I need to relax, and if I don't put back the dish, that's okay.
I see what you're saying.
You know
that
what
actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you're saying, like, you're not saying maybe that's what it was. You didn't fully explain what you're saying, because that makes total sense. You're saying that my version, in my head, someone that doesn't put away dishes is lazy, if I was this person, right?
Right.
But in another situation, someone that doesn't put away a dish is just a regular person who doesn't put away dishes. So you're saying that's about them.
It is about them, yeah. And
I see what you're saying. That
and
makes
like
more
in
sense.
your situation, like with your mom, and right, like you felt that in your past. So even though you're not that,
mom should do those things.
Yeah. So then you have that in your mind of being like, it should be this way. So when people are not that way, then you focus on that, if that makes sense, rather than somebody like maybe.
Well, I don't even know if I focus on it. Like I would. I see what you're saying. If I was at a friend's house and their mom wasn't being attentive and was kind of like this certain way, I think I might feel the same way. So maybe I think you're onto something there. I think you have a great point. So it's a weird thing, right? You have to like kind of dive into that. Yeah.
It's really weird, and kind of like back to what I was explaining about like feeling afraid of people, you know, because they maybe do certain things that are hurtful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is just kind of seeing it that way. Like, you know, if somebody is being really, you know, like telling me something about my life, it's really because that's how they feel about their life, right? And that's okay if that's how they feel about themselves. It's really not about me, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that has really freed me to be able to, like, not fear being close to people that, like, maybe do have situations where they are working through certain things, right? Like self-esteem or confidence or, you know, whatever it is. Like sometimes it projects on other people, and it's like about being aware of it instead of like internalizing it, being like, oh, well, it's because they don't like me because I'm this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think we're both onto something there, because that makes complete sense. I think the overall thing is we should really take an effort to get more information, would you say, right? And kind of understand that like things that are important to you aren't also important. They may not be important to someone else, but it doesn't diminish that person either. Like they have their own world and set of things that they believe in. Yeah. And they have the right to do that too.
Yeah. And that's only when it's like, I think, projected. Because I feel like people can relate to that. Like when it's about meeting new people, they see like, okay, like for example, somebody that like, say it's a two girls, right? And there's a girl that like is super conscious of her looks and is always like talking about other girls' looks and how they're not good enough and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so then you as a friend are like, oh, like I wonder if like she's talking bad about my looks, right? But in reality, it's that girl's insecurities that is projecting, and it's like.
Well, I think patterns tell a lot too. So I see what you're saying. If someone's always talking about something cheating, right? If there's a guy that's always talking about cheating, it's like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Yeah.
If he's thinking about this consistently when I'm not around, because he also brings it up when I'm here, there must be more to it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that like sometimes, yeah, like obviously if it's a situation where you're meeting somebody new and like, you know, they're doing something that's like risky that could harm you, then I guess obviously that's different. But like, I think when meeting people and like trying to like trust people, I've learned that like, it's really like, the things that you sometimes see them bring out in you are really more about them. And so like kind of just don't need to focus on them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think it's a good tip that I've learned along the way.
Is it helpful? Do you feel yourself headed in a more positive, like, is it impacting you enough to where you go like, my life is better now because I know this?
Yeah, 100%, because I feel like
Talk about that real quick. I'm gonna use the restroom.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I have definitely like gone to a place where I feel like comfortable with meeting new people and just like feeling like I can like see them for who they are basically, and like when I see things that like can be like risky or like things that I feel like could be a concern in the future. Like I really try my best to like see the good and like focus on that, and then just know like, okay, if they do something that like is hurtful like in the future, then that's kind of on them. Like it's their situation, it's their patterns kind of playing out, and like it's my job, or like it could be my job to like bring it out in them, to like let them know that, hey, you know, like I've noticed this, like you don't need to feel insecure about this, or like you shouldn't feel like lower about this situation. And so I try to definitely do that as much as I can. But I think that like when meeting new people and like trying to like get that trust, I feel like that's always like something that like is hard, because when people are different, then like it's hard to not focus on like the risks that could happen because they are different. Because typically like when you meet somebody that is, you know, a friend, I feel like you usually pick traits that are similar to you, and like something that you would like to see. Like if you're loyal, you want to see your friend be loyal. And so then you want to kind of like have that in the relationship or in the friendship. But sometimes it's more meaningful like when you can see things that can kind of help that person grow and like help yourself grow. So I was just kind of like talking about like how what I've seen, and basically like how I've grown with friendships and things like that and meeting new people.
Have you ever compared, you have a lot of the same friends now that you had when you were kids. Mm-hmm. Can you compare a friend that you met as a kid to a friend that you met as an adult? Mm-hmm. Do you ever compare their relationships, and what do you think is different? Can you think of someone in your head right now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is there a benefit to meeting someone as a kid as compared to an adult, or vice versa?
I think there's benefits to both. I think that friendships are all very unique in different ways, and like you have different connections, and usually connections are like, you know, things that you guys can relate on usually, or things that you just like have something in common. So I feel like they're equally as powerful. It just kind of depends on what type of like friendship you're getting out of that. Like, is it a friendship for you that like, you know, like I've had friends where like I have like all these memories with them, like growing up and doing crazy things and stuff like that. And then I have friends that like I've met recently that, because they've met me like at an older age, I'm more mature. And so we have like different conversations that are more deep, or, you know, so I feel like they're different in both. Like they're different, but equally as good.
I almost feel like it's really hard, and I'll speak just for myself, to make a new friend, like as good as friends that I have. Mm-hmm. There's something about history, right? That you can't replace history. And take anyone that you've known for a long time, right? Any friend that you've had this long history with. There's something, and if you really think about it, you would break it down and go like, well, I can meet a new friend today and I'll have a really good history with them in 10 years. Similar to maybe some of the friends I have now that I met 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's just not the way it works, because I think when you're younger, you meet, you're more vulnerable, you're alive, you're wild, you're free, you're imaginative. These are scientific facts that the younger you are, the kids have better imaginations than adults, mm-hmm. for a reason. You know what I mean? It's just the way the brain works, right?
Yeah.
You lose that, you become more practical, you become more real life oriented as an adult. So you don't make the same friends as an adult as you did when you were younger. And when I say a kid, I'm not saying literally a child. I have friends that I met in high school. I will never, ever meet anyone like them, right? Never, ever again. Yeah. To the point where my high school friends that I'm really, really close to, they can make terrible decisions. They could probably murder a dude and I would still be their friends, because there's this weird connection. Mm-hmm. I met you when I was at my craziest, when I was wild, when I was making all this like bad decisions, maybe some good ones, but I was reckless, and you were my friend the whole time. So now that you're reckless, I need to be that same person. I don't think you can mimic that as an adult. I don't know if I can make a new friend today that will have the same level of intimacy, which is a weird word to talk about a friendship, but that is the correct word. There's a level of intimacy. When you meet someone younger, you're more vulnerable, open, you tell secrets differently, you know what I mean? Those are, you can't do that. I mean, you can, but for me personally, I don't think I could.
Really?
I couldn't meet a new friend today that could replace any of my friends that I've known for a long time. Now, I don't even want to use the word replace. Maybe match. The friendship can never, not even just today, ever. If I meet a new friend today, you will never, and I feel comfortable saying this, you will never be as good as a friend as the people I met back in the day. I don't think so, at least, as my brain is a 30-year-old man, because there's something special. There's something special about those friendships.
Do you think it's like how you mentioned, like the vulnerability, or like maybe just feeling like they knew me at my worst, and like, and so they have like this connection with me, and since I'm not at my worst right now, then whoever I meet really wouldn't ever get to know that side of me?
I don't know if I would say fully. I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's just at my worst. It's not like I was bad and now I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I was great back then at certain things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, you're just more open. I think as human beings, you only get, this goes back to the energy thing you were talking about. You only get back kind of what you put out.
Yeah. And
as adults, we put out less because we realize what it's like to be hurt. And so we don't put out as much. You know what I mean? And when I say put out, it sounds sexual, huh? We don't put out as much information as we would as a younger, naive person, right? In high school, if someone walked up to me, and they were like, dude, I got ecstasy and alcohol in my house. I'm like, dude, I love ecstasy and alcohol. You're my best friend because you like ecstasy and alcohol. Let's go to your house and do ecstasy and alcohol. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so easy. It's easy. Boom. And as an adult, you're not that vulnerable because you know what it's like. You make better decisions. You make better friends. You're so focused on your career, your relationship, the wedding, the kids, the dogs, whatever it is for you. Like a dot.
Yeah.
But when you're younger, you don't give a fuck about consequences. You really don't. You're being wild. You're meeting random people and you're letting them in your life and you're making wild mistakes. If you're a girl, you're talking to wild dudes. And if you're a dude, you're talking to wild girls. You know what I mean? And you're just loving people because they're crazy and doing crazy stuff. And as an adult, we don't love that anymore. We want stability and we want, you know what I mean? And the people that find both of those, that's amazing. But I think for me, I don't know. The friends that evolve with me is amazing. I love that because I don't have to do anything. I now get to have this similar relationship on a similar level as an adult with this person. But it's really hard when your friends don't grow at the same pace as you. And you're like, damn, like we were crazy and we had this like awesome friendship. We did all these awesome things. And then life happens and now I'm trying to be more serious. But life didn't happen for that other person, or at least not the same way it did for you. And now you're not as close to that person as you used to be. And now all of a sudden you feel like a fucking asshole because you're like, damn, I'm on two different levels here. I still care for this person. They're still my friend. I would fucking take a bullet for this person. I would, like, they're my friend. I would, if they needed blood and they were dying, I'd give them my blood. You need a kidney? I got you a kidney. I would do that. But we're not on the same level. Like, we're not doing the same things. And so it sucks because you wish you were. And you'll do anything sometimes to get that person to your level. Or if you're the other person, you actually want to get to that level too. And there's no who's higher thing. There's just levels.
Yeah.
They could be even levels, but still be different.
Do you feel like they're like levels of consciousness?
I think they're levels of experience. And I think experiences change people. I'm 100% on that. I think if you take a really good person, a really, really good, genuine, authentic, nice person, and put them in prison, you're not going to get the same person when they come out.
Yeah.
Because they're not around that person in prison. They're around other people, right? And I'm just using that as an example. But I think if you take someone and put them in a different position, society, surrounding, they change. And I think it's small when it's really close friends, but those little things add up and then they change. And then you're just not on the same level. You're just not on the same level. And it sucks. It really does suck.
I wonder what that is that's different, because I feel like the friend, like kind of how I explained, like I still love like my friends that I've had it like since I was little, and I have like a special place in my heart for them, like I always will, right? And we have great times and memories, and like they knew me. But then I have other friends that like say I met in college,
we get a little bit closer.
Or like friends that like I've met in my career, and I feel like just as connected to all of them.
Just as connected?
Yeah.
Like really think about that real quick. And maybe the answer is still yes. But think about someone you met through work in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
Think about a friend that you've known since middle school. Is it the same? And don't think about overall love, right? Or overall connection.
Yeah.
But is it the same? Like, can you replicate that? Is my point. Not better. Can you replicate that same feeling? I don't think you can. I don't think anyone can. I know I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Could you replicate friend A that you've known forever? Could you meet a friend B and replicate that feeling?
Well, I think the way I feel about all of them are different, even if it's the same, like two different friends that I met in middle school.
Yeah, so it's not going to be exact, and I agree with that. But could you replicate the loyalty, the best friend? Is it possible to have multiple best friends in a lifespan?
I don't know. Possibly.
I think so, but I think you're right. It's not a replication. It's just different versions of a best friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
My point is I think people take for granted the history they have with a person. I mean, you've talked about this in the past. There's something special about a person that you have history with. There just is. It's just like you've gone through stuff at a similar time. It doesn't matter how different you are. When you have a common history, there's a special connection there that cannot be replicated. It just can't.
Yeah.
And my brother's the perfect example of this. And I've talked about this, and this is how I feel about it. Me and Colin, he's the only person in this world that knows almost everything, because we lived in a bad home together. You know, there's chunks in the middle that go out. I'm never gonna make another friend like that. You know what I mean? And he's my brother, but we're talking about on a friendship level. I am never ever gonna make another friend in my life like Colin. There just won't be a friend. There won't be like that. And Colin will admit this. We grew up separately in foster homes, so he liked different things passionately. He liked cars. I like selling cars. He liked building cars. We're both social, but we're different. We have different morals sometimes. Some of the same ones, right? But we're different. We're the same in a lot of ways, but we're very different in a lot of ways as well. Mm-hmm. But stemming from the same place, there's something special there that can never be replicated. And we have a good relationship, right? We have a decent relationship. If we ever strayed apart, let's play out a scenario where me and Colin don't talk at all for a long time. Let's say not only do we not talk at all, let's say we hate each other. Right? Something happens between us where I'm like, I fucking hate you. And he's like, I fucking hate you too. And we just don't talk. Mm-hmm. There is always, we can go 10 years without talking. There's always this special thing that's there that cannot be replicated. And it's those things in movies, in life, and stories that bring people back together. That's my point. Life happens. People change and people do things, but you can't replace memories. You can't make a new friend like that. And he is my brother. Biologically, he is my brother, but he's also my friend because we've been through stuff that we relate on. There's things that we don't have to talk about. When I mention something about my childhood, he kind of knows because he was there. And it's like, that's special. You can't recreate that. I can't make a new version of that, and I can't recreate those memories. Those memories are already behind me. Mm-hmm. Why would I ever, in any situation in life, try to replace that? I don't think anyone should. I don't think anyone can. I think not only can you not, you need to go back to those people that you've wronged or have bad relationship with and try to fix them. And I think that we should all try to see the best in people because we can't change and recreate those moments, but we can change our relationship with those same exact people. Yeah. We can't share those memories. I can't recreate that with anyone. There'll never be another person like that. Yeah. Why would I miss out on that? And it's the same thing with like friends. You know what I mean? I'm sure as I'm saying this, you're probably relating this in your head. Mm-hmm. You can't recreate those things. I've told you this about some of your friends, right? Yeah. And no one's specific, and it's not like you're considering like ditching any of your friends, right? Yeah. But we've talked about that, and I've been a huge advocate. Anytime any of your friends that you've known forever, I've always told you like, hey, this person's always gonna be around. Mm-hmm. You can't recreate that. There's something special there. You know what I mean? And there is. And I think that like it's our job, if you really want that, to understand that like you gotta fix those things. So you gotta work on them. You can't make a new friend or relationship like the ones you have. You can make them better, or you can create new ones, but they'll never be the same. So if you really enjoy one, work on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's a fair statement?
Yeah.
Is someone that's like having trouble with their mom, don't go out and fill it with all kinds of voids. Work on a relationship with your mom.
Yeah.
Your sister, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, whoever. Work on those things because you're not going to get the same things again. You can't recreate it. You make it better or you let it go, but you don't recreate it.
Yeah. I don't feel like you can recreate, but I do feel, I think.
Don't people try though?
Yeah, people do try. But I do feel like every stage in my life has been special. And when I've had a friend that I've met in that special stage of my life, like I hold it really close to my heart. Like no matter what it was, right? Even if friends that like I haven't maybe like kept in contact with or like, you know, things have just kind of faded. Mm-hmm. Like I'll always have like a special place in my heart for that person and the memories that we shared during that time.
Do you think that has anything to do with the fact that you have a really good memory and so you kind of remember more intensely moments?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe because I like the way that I remember things is pretty unique, I think.
Very unique.
Yeah.
It's very impactful. You remember moments, like literally you truly do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. I think it's because it's like I remember how like I feel with certain things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's kind of what I'm trying to like describe, like feelings are so different, you know? Like I could have a friendship that like say we just had fun all the time and that's all we did was laugh and have fun. And then say I had another friend that like we sat there and like ate ice cream and just like talked about like deep stuff. Like they both felt good but in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it's like how can I compare them? They're just special in different ways, right? And so I don't know. I guess that's just maybe the way I see it. I think everybody's different though. And I'm not saying that you can replace anything. Like those memories that I had with certain people, like I'll always cherish, you know?
Yeah. Do you think, God, I don't want to get like too off because I feel like we're in a cool place.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they're...
You're like, do you remember things with your exes? Just
yeah. How big was your ex's penis? What if that was like the segue? Anyways, how big was your ex's dick? No. I was going to ask you, the reason why I didn't want to get off subject is because like I don't know like if I'm just thinking wild right now because it's late and I'm excited and I feel... You're glowing, by the way. I don't know if you ever like... it's something cool happens with you and I want you to know this. You do you remember earlier in this conversation where I'm like, hey, I feel like you're kind of like not like...
Yeah.
I feel like I'm leading a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You get really comfortable and you kind of like, you glow a little bit. And I feel like you're like, it's only about the things that you're passionate. And so I'm recognizing it with you. And I kind of like only want to talk about things you're passionate about. Like just because I see it, it's kind of cool. But you glow a little bit. Like when you talk about certain things that like you're like passionate about. And so like I just saw you like glowing a little bit. And so that was kind of cool. And that's why I was like waiting for you to talk more. But I feel like you kind of like ran into that more like towards the end of the conversation. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
The thing that was in my head was that I thought like maybe I shouldn't like segue into it. It's like AI, like artificial intelligence, robots, kind of like ex machina. Do you think that there's a situation in the future that we get what we need through artificial intelligence? Can you see a future where there's a robot that's will? Kind of like, do you remember that Black Mirror where the guy dies and the girl like they make a robot of him based off his social media? Like, do you think that it's the same, first of all? And do you think that there's a future where we get our needs met, both emotionally, right? Because we need that. Sexually, probably. There's going to be sex robots for sure. If there's robots, someone's going to fuck that robot. Guarantee you. Mm-hmm. Someone's going to do that.
Probably.
But can you see a future where like emotionally and psychologically we get our needs met by maybe a program that's better at it than human beings?
I do, because I feel like humans are really adaptable. Mm-hmm. I feel like everything that's going on with the COVID right now just kind of shows how adaptable humans are. Mm-hmm. And so as humans, we want to get our needs met. And I don't think that we limit the way that we get those needs met, if that makes sense. So I feel like in a situation in the future, if that were to happen, that as long as somebody was getting their needs met, it wouldn't really matter how. Like initially, I think it's weird. Like it's kind of how it is with all fads or all things that happen. Like people usually are like, oh, that's strange. Like don't do that. That's crazy. And then everybody gets into it. And then it's just like the new thing. Right. So I feel like it's definitely possible and probable.
It's for sure probable and possible.
Yeah.
I don't think that I could be a part of it.
You don't think you could?
No. Like, here's the thing. And I'm being honest. Like, am I not? Like, I truly break down some things that, like, when I try to feel things, you know what I mean? I was talking about some weird stuff earlier. So I'm for sure, like being honest about some of the stuff. And so I was being honest when I said I wanted a woman to attack me.
I'm going to work on that, by the way.
Yeah, I think you should fucking attack me one day. Like, don't even, like, say anything. Just, like, a fucking, like, arm bar or something. No, I think that, damn it, I forgot what to say. Oh, I couldn't be a part of it. Like, I couldn't be a part of that world. But I would also understand that it exists. When you said what you said, like, that's for sure probable and possible. It's both, and I think it will happen. I realize when I break down myself, my thing is people. It's like people. That's just my thing. I don't care what that means. It's not a sexual thing. I could have a people-appropriate personal conversation with a woman for a long time and not be inappropriate and not be sexual. I really think I've done it. I've had other girls on the podcast besides you, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, granted, all right. I'm just saying, all right. But I think I could, and I think regardless of how it made you feel, right? Because I think that you're allowed to feel whatever you feel. I know me, and I know that I care about people, and I know that it's intimidating, but I could have a really, really personal conversation and not get to that point, but I care about the level of it. Guy, girl, doesn't matter. I could do it with anyone, any race, ethnicity. I can have a wonderful conversation, but I care too much about the human interaction part of it. I couldn't do it with a robot. Like, I couldn't, like, have a conversation sexual. Like, sexual to me is emotional, and so that if there's no emotional connection, there's no sexual connection. And therefore, I don't think that I could. But I would understand someone who would, because I do think there's people in the world that have social disadvantages or like a socially awkward, and they probably could use some pep in their step like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think me personally, if I'm being 100% honest, I don't think. Are you staring at the camera?
I'm trying to think.
Why? What was?
Because I pulled my leg
Look,
out.
you're getting like out of it. I
know. That's why. Like, I'm getting too comfortable, so I'm just trying to make sure I'm still there.
What if, like, by the end of it, you're like,
I'm like gone.
we're like not even.
I know. Yeah.
No, that's all I'm saying is I don't think that, like, for me, I know and I've isolated the fact that it's like the human interaction part of it that really gets me going. I just like people. I know it's hard for you because there's times where you're like, what are you doing? Like, you've been hanging out with these strangers and like all your fucking friends are here and we're all hanging out. And it's like, I just like people. Like, I forget sometimes those things, but my intentions are always genuine and like enjoyable and I love human interaction. And so I don't think that I could ever be one of those people that prefers. You could? You think so?
I think you could.
I want to hear why.
I think that you're pretty adaptable. And I feel like in a situation like, say, I died or something.
Yeah.
And there was like.
You think I'd fuck a robot if you died?
I don't know if you would do that, but I feel like you could.
Fuck a robot?
I feel like you could like talk to one and like.
But do you think I would fuck one? Like, do you think I would have sex with a robot?
No.
Like, if you died?
No, I don't think so.
What if it was a robot of you?
Maybe. Just kidding. I don't know. Would you?
You know, I'd like to say I wouldn't, but possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe. Not even just of you. Like, if there's just a general one, I'd like to think I wouldn't, and I'm pretty sure I wouldn't, but I don't fucking know.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I feel like I would, like, in the situation of, like, if you died or something.
What? If you bone a robot version of me, I am haunting the fuck out of that house. I'm just going to show up, just flick off light switches and run. You'll know it's me, too. I'll fart in the room. Like, there's the demon in here. It's just me farting. All right, we're getting close to the end. This has been a long one, but fun.
Yes.
You down for the anonymous confession?
I am.
I'm thinking about not doing the anonymous confession anymore.
Why not?
I don't know. What do you think of it?
I like that.
I like that. Okay, Bachelorette. People listening, if you like the anonymous confession, comment down below. Please let me know, because I'm literally seriously considering not doing them anymore. Because it's hard to find them. People don't write in. And I don't know people's reactions to them because people don't comment a lot. So if you made it this far in the podcast, awesome.
Yes. And also comment if you think Will would be in a relationship with a robot.
No, I wouldn't. Comment, Will would never do that.
Comment, yes, he would.
This is kind of funny because I picked this earlier and I didn't really read it, but it's kind of like relevant.
It's because you're intuitive. Told you.
It's because of my intuition. I lost. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Anonymous confession. I gotta be all proper. It says, I lost my virginity to a prostitute. Long story short, it was pleasant. I was 27 and had never been naked with a woman before, nor had I ever fooled around, even foreplay. I'll admit simply getting over this hurdle was worth it, but I didn't perform very well. I had anxiety. We finished in 30 minutes and spent the next 30 minutes just chatting.
Well, that's sweet. Just kidding.
With a prostitute. And when I first read it, I said, we finished in 30 minutes. Damn, it's fucking like 30 minutes. Like we think that's quick.
Yeah.
This is why prostitutes charge by the hour, by the way, because who fucks for an hour?
True. And
I think we're missing the point of the story though, because I realized like 30 minutes, like he means like he finished in the first 30 minutes. I think. Yeah. I don't think he like binged out for 30 minutes. Here's why I think this will be cool. Is because what do you think? This is a guy. What do you think about a guy who's 27 losing his virginity to a prostitute who says it was worth it? It seems like he just kind of wanted to get it out of the way. Do you think that's smart? I don't think virginity is that special to men as it is to women.
Yeah.
And men often don't think of that, and we ruin it for women.
Yeah. I mean, try not to be like judgmental.
Judge up. Be a judge right now.
But I mean, it's not maybe the safest thing to do or legal. I don't know.
Did you say it's safe?
It's not the safest
thing. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right.
It's not the safest thing to do or maybe legal depending on what state you're in or whatever. But I mean, I feel like I can understand why he would maybe want to try it out with somebody that like it feels like it's just like a like transaction because of his age. Like maybe he was just like, I don't want to like meet somebody emotionally.
27 is a weird age to still be a virgin.
Yeah, so I feel like I could understand why somebody would be like, okay, like I want it to be somebody that like it just feels like a transaction, that way I can like just do whatever I need to do to get better at this kind of thing. But I don't know.
All right, I have a weird take about this. So I put my mic up. This might be, I don't even care if it's controversial. This is how I feel about it. You ready?
Yeah, I already know what you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
That you don't think like he's attractive or something. No? Okay.
Maybe you should have said that, you fucking asshole. Is that how you feel?
I don't know. I don't know him.
I think prostitution should be legal. And I know that people are going to hear that and go, what? Never bought a prostitute in my life. And if I had a daughter, I really don't want her to be a prostitute. And so everything about prostitution in my head is bad, right? Like there's bad things that come with prostitution. There's a high, your risk of dying is super high if you're a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
Your level of being subjected to being involved with drugs is super high. Abuse, super high. Trafficked, super high. Depression, super high. Suicide rates are super high. So I'm not, and I'm admitting all this, right? Like I know. Here's the reason why I think it should be legal. It's not because it's good. There's a lot of things that are legal that are not good for you, like overeating, like sugar. And so my point is, it's weird to think that you can kill yourself. You can literally drink yourself to death if you choose to, as long as you don't drive a car or do it in public. You can stay at home and drink yourself to death, and you won't go to jail. But if you're taking a substance, putting it in your body that literally kills you, and you won't go to jail. But if you have sex with a human being, which we all do, we all have sex. Think about this. We all have sex all the time. And we all have sex sometimes. Some people have sex sometimes for financial gain. Some people have sex sometimes for emotional gain. Sometimes it's like some women have sex with men because they think it'll raise their level in society. Some men have sex with women because they think they can brag about it. There's tons of stories of boys having sex with their high school teacher only because they want to brag about it to their friends, right? So there's gain on both sides. We can have this thing called sex, but if you want money for it, it's illegal. You can go to jail for it, and you could spend. It's frowned upon. Your family. There's all these things that come with it, right? So when I say that I think prostitution should be legal, because I think it's weird to tell someone you can murder yourself with alcohol or cigarettes, but you can't have sex with someone for money if two people agree to it, right? I'm not saying there's people that get prostituted and they're going to take advantage of, right? If a guy and a girl meet and woman says, hey, I want to have sex with you. And he says, I want to have sex with you. And then she says, but I want $50. And he says, I'm cool. Like with that, I have $50. And he gives her $50 and they have sex. You can go to jail for a long time for that, for prostitution. But if the same situation went down with alcohol, a clerk at a store, hey, I have vodka. Hey, I want vodka. How much is that vodka? It's $50. Yeah. Here's $50. Gives them the vodka. They go home and they die because they keep doing this for fucking ever, or they hurt their family emotionally for whatever reason. That's fine. That's my point. So I just want to simply make that point. I'm not for it. I don't think that people should go calling their governor and saying, we want prostitution to be illegal. I think it's weird that it's illegal, right? And so getting back to the anonymous confession, I don't think it's that weird that this person that's 27 thought that they could buy a prostitute to get the satisfaction. I do think that there's better ways to do it, and I think that this person, if I were to be able to talk to him today, didn't get what they thought they would get out of it.
Yeah. I
do think there's a big burden for men to have sex at a young age. It's weird. You're considered a pussy if you're young and you haven't had sex when all... Some of the guys that haven't, like, they'll be like, dude, like, I had sex. You have fucking sex, Steve? Yeah, I boned whoever. And then, like, what about you, Ted? And Ted's like, no. Haven't had sex yet, like fucking Ted. And they clown at him. They make fun of him. You know what I mean? They call him names. And so it's like, I get it. Societally, there's a point to that. And it is a huge burden. The fact that this dude made it to 27 is fucking impressive. I think that's kind of cool. That's one side of it. I know I've been ranting for a while, so I get to my point. I think the other side, now that we talked about all that stuff, right? I think that you should value yourself enough to not hire prostitutes to have sex, because I think sex is important. I don't think you should wait for marriage if that's something that's important to you. If you have a connection with someone and you feel like it's your forever person, not traditional, you know what I mean? Like I'm not that religious, spiritual. But I do think the dignity part of it is important. And I think you should have sex with someone that you care about. And I think this person probably did have low self-esteem. But maybe this is a hurdle you need to get over so he can get on to the other stuff. Yeah. I think this guy's going to be just fine.
I think he will too.
As long as he wrapped it before he tapped it, which he may not have.
Yeah, we didn't get that info.
Yeah, who doesn't write that in their anonymous confession? I wear a condom, by the way. It should be in parentheses.
Yeah, that would have been good.
All right, any final thoughts on prostitute 27-year-old man?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, I love you, and I think this was a really fun podcast, and we're going to quarantine it up. Yeah, people were pretty pissed that I missed a week. I've never missed a week since I started this podcast. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did know that.
Never missed a week, and I missed one last week.
It's quarantine.
I know. People deserve more.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do 2 this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if I have to do one alone. Either way, I think I got to make it up to people.
Yeah.
I had fun.
I had fun too.
All right.
All right.
I'm out.
Bye.
Let's go find some prostitutes.
Whatever.
All right. Fine then. Let's just go to bed.